MJ's being messy.
And well, we're live, so you heard you say that. You know what I mean? And we are live. You know what I mean? MJ is spicy in the chat already. You know what it is. You know what it is. Man. Hey, look. Y'all know what it is, man. Normally, your boy, the real Adam Coleman, the hometown hero, is laid back, chill. You know what I mean? I don't really take too many shots. I don't really take too many shots at cats, man. I really don't. You know what I'm saying? However, this evening, it's blood in the water, dog. You know it's blood in the water, dog. You know what I mean? Listen. You know, y'all know what it is. We're doing the Shakka Ahmose critique. You know what I mean? He's had a lot of greasy things to say about the urban apologetics community, about, you know, guys that we respect, you know what I'm saying, and you know, really regard highly, whether it be Bantu, Eric Mason, and Brother Stuart. And he's been asking for this for a while now. So we're gonna have some fun. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you know, it's like when you kind of throw like chum, I think it's called chumming, when they throw like chunks of meat in the water and right. Form. That's what this is right now. That's what this is, blood in the water, doc. That's what this is. You know what I'm saying? What up, BK, man? How you feeling, brother? Let's do this.
Yeah, what's going on? Part of people, the place to be. I go by the name of the BK Apologist, transmitting all the way live. New York is the city. Brooklyn is the borough. What's good? What's popping? I think that one of the key things that you said is fun. We are going to have some fun.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you guys seen the thumbnail. There will be jokes, but it's all in fun because, you know, when Shakka, you know, he talked about how Broussard and Bantu and Mason did the Three Stooges, and that Bantu basically has mental health issues. Nobody on this side clutched their pearls and was outraged. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know, I take it as, you know, you're in the ball court, you're playing, and, you know, cats is talking slick while they're playing basketball. You know what I mean? That's how we're taking it, right? So,
right.
And that's what we're going to return some of that energy back, you know, but it's all in fun. It's also a teaching moment, but we're going to have some fun. And if I could expand that point, it's important that you guys understand that because the conscious community, they have a history of saying things that can be taken as disrespect when it comes to our community. You know, they literally curse out Jesus. You got Brother Polite shooting up Bible saying, hey, this now it's a holy Bible. Right? Mm-hmm. They say all that, we take it on the chin, we don't say none. But when we return some of that energy, they clutch their pearls, they start hyperventilating. They're like, I can't believe they did that. I thought they were Christians. Oh, that's not Christ-like. Oh, you mean the guy that you guys say don't actually exist? You know, which is funny because when we start to press back, all of a sudden they want us to actually behave like the mythical character Jesus, you know, so you know what I mean? It goes both ways, guys. It goes both ways. That's all I'm saying. So,
as a matter of fact, along those lines, man, I want to play something real quick to kind of get it started. I'm kind of doing this also to.
One more thing. But if Shakka does take offense to what we say today, he could hit me on my inbox. We could talk about it. I'll apologize because we're not trying to be malicious. We're not trying to hurt feelings.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But we're gonna have some fun. He kind of set the tone for what you're gonna see tonight. So it is what it is. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear this. If you have any problems, I mean, I'm also testing this out to make sure I'm got my timestamps right. But let me go ahead and play this clip right quick.
We can't hear it, bro.
You can't hear it? Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah, it makes sense. My bad.
You gotta click that box before you share it for the audio.
Yeah. Let's try this again. That's why I was testing it out. All right, let's try this again.
Intelligent is that when they get confronted by people who are and that's what these ecclesiastical formulaic equations are. This is what I'm talking about. You are dealing with brain technology.
Oh my goodness. Excuse me, y'all, technical difficulties. But it's funny because I just playing that clip. I want to go in on that already. I'm ready to roll, dog. But let me just play this and then we'll get started. Goodness.
Yeah, do your thing, bro.
This dude, man. This dude here, yo. All right, this is gonna set the tone right here for where we're trying to go right here. All right, here we go. Check this out. Check this out. This statement. Could you hear that just now?
I heard.
All right, cool. Let me turn the volume all the way up. Okay, here we go.
in theology, a degree in divinity, so you know better about the brain than someone with a PhD in neuroscience. Okay. And how the brain processes information. You see, the problem with people who are superficially intelligent is that when they get confronted by people who are actually intelligent, they're like the king with no clothes on. They're naked. They're standing there butt naked in their ignorance. And they don't know what to do with themselves. And I can guarantee you that many of them watching this right now are losing it.
All right. So I want to start out with a point of agreement. I agree with everything he just said. The problem is when you have people who are superficially intelligent, they run up on people who are actually intelligent, you know what I'm saying, and know what they're talking about, then they end up looking like the king with no clothes on. That perfectly describes how you will view Shakka Ahmose after we get finished with these two critiques right here. I'm saying you will understand that this gentleman, Shakka Ahmose, is this individual, you know, saying, who is superficially intelligent. Now, I'm not making a statement about him in terms of to be demeaning or whatever. I'm gonna clarify. I'm gonna narrow that down a bit just for the sake of being specific and cordial with respect to the issues that he's raised here in his video. You know what I'm saying? It's clear that this man doesn't know what he's talking about. And so in that regard, I just want to at least start out with that point of agreement. You know what I'm saying? I agree with his description of people who are superficially intelligent. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move forward.
All right. So I can share my screen?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, cool. All right. So, all right, we're going to start with this. All right. Let me see. Can you guys? All right, great. So rhetoric is the art of making good arguments. More broadly, it refers to effective communication in both speaking and writing. Rhetoric is mainly about persuasion, but it also covers techniques for making your work more beautiful. You can find this definition in literaryterms.net. This is the thing we want to talk about. We want to talk about Shakka's rhetoric, his ability or inability to make good arguments. Is he able to persuade you with his argumentation in this video? That's the thing we want everyone to focus on.
I'm sorry, man. You have like a phone going off or something like that?
Yeah, my bad.
Oh, okay. Is that Shakka blowing up your phone trying to get us to stop? You know what that was?
Yeah, he's like, don't do it to me, son. No. Yeah, it's right. So that's the thing we want to really look at. We want to see this is an analysis of his ability to make good arguments. Right? We want to see if he is persuasive with what he's using. Right? So with that being said, the overall arching thing of his series that he's about to do on our community, his premise of this series is untenable. And the reason why I say that, because the name of the series that he's doing is Christians Apologists, right? Lies Christian Apologists Tell, right? So as you guys know me, I love to define terms before we get into any discussion. So let's look at some traditional definitions of lying. The most widely accepted definition of lying is the following, quote, a lie is a statement made by one who does not believe it with the intention that someone else shall be led to believe it. Another definition here is making a statement believed to be false with the intention of getting another to accept it as true. Now, there are certain conditions that have to be met in order for you to be able to prove that someone has been caught in a lie. First, lying requires that a person make a statement. This is the statement condition. Second, lying requires that the person believe the statement to be false. That is, lying requires that the statement be untruthful. Untruthfulness condition. Third, lying requires that the untruthful statement be made to another person, addressee condition. Fourth and final, lying requires that the person intend that the other person believe the untruthful statement to be true. This is the intention to deceive the addressee condition. These are the four qualifiers that one needs in order to show that someone is in a lie. So what he has to do when he talks about any apologist, whether it's me, Coleman, Richardson, Mason, the people in the chat, he has to fulfill these four requirements, right? He would have to prove the intent of the individual. That is a very difficult thing to prove, Because to know my intent, you have to know me. You have to know Adam. You have to know Mason. You have to know our character, right? You have to prove that you know us well enough to know the intent of the things that we're saying. It would have been much easier for him to entitle this things that apologists get wrong. Because guess what? We get things wrong all the time. He would score a lot of points if that was the series. But that's not what the series is about. He's not saying that we're incorrect or that we're wrong. He's saying that we are intendedly saying untruthful things and trying to persuade people to believe this untruthful things that we say that we already know is untrue, persuading you so that you would think it's true. This is what he has to prove in this series. So you always want to keep this in the back of your head as he continues making these episodes. Adam, you want to share anything before we continue?
Oh, of course, yeah. So and one thing that me and BK always do is we always want to steel man somebody else's argument, right? So first of all, BK is absolutely correct that if you're gonna make the accusation that folks are lying or telling lies, right, then you've got to you got to step up to the plate and prove that. You got to demonstrate that, right? And we've laid out how we're going to characterize lying. With that being said, let's say that if we wanted to even set a super low bar, let's say we wanted to set a super low bar and just say that by lies he means false statements. I'm saying let's just say that let's say this if you want, well, because that's actually that wouldn't even be lying. Let's say that we want to say that he believes that we're regurgitating lies that were told to us or something like that. As in like the authors of the Bible were liars or something like that, and we're regurgitating the lies that they told. Okay, so then this criteria that BK laid out, Shakka would have to demonstrate that the authors of the Bible, I'm saying, or whoever the folks are from which these the biblical worldview derives, if he wants to put it that way, he would have to demonstrate that those people meet the criteria of having lied, right? So either he's got the onus is on him to demonstrate that either we are liars, right, and have told lies, or that those from which we derive our information are liars, whether it be doctrinally or whatever else. That's a pretty high bar. That's what he's got to demonstrate, right? And as we'll see here, I'm gonna let you do your thing, but as we see here, he doesn't come anywhere close. He didn't come anywhere close.
Right. All right. So with that, if you could go to the first timestamp, which is the first timestamp, the 2:33.
Yep, already there, my brother.
Cool. Let's go.
All right. Where does it stop at? Let me just make sure.
I'm not. I didn't put the end. I'll tell you to stop.
Okay. Cool. All right. Cool.
Versus the Christian community. Now, if you watch the first episode of Shakka's Here, you already know that in and of itself is an inappropriate bill.
Actually, you know what? Can
you rewind it just a little bit?
Yeah.
Rewind it just a little.
You're touching on that versus thing, right?
Yeah. Okay,
let's start here.
Last winter, in the winter of 2019, early winter 2019, and the debate was kind of being billed as the Kemetic community versus the Christian community. Now, if you watch the first episode of Shakka's Here, you already know that in and of itself is an inappropriate bill, because historically speaking, it's never been the Kemetic community versus the Christian community. It's actually always been the obverse. It's always been the Christian community versus the Kemetic community. Okay, that's where the antagonism comes from. Okay,
he's up there.
Direction.
All right.
So if I could share my screen.
Actually, I'm gonna let him finish that statement right there. If you cool.
Yeah. All right, cool.
That last line there.
Go ahead.
Of the antagonism, its source and its object. Okay, so we just wanted to make that clear. However,
okay, all right, cool. He's saying the direction of the animosity is from the Christian community to the community. He said historically that's what it's been. All right.
So the quote that we just heard is, "It's never been the conscious community versus the Christian community. It's actually always been the reverse. It's always been Christian community versus the Kemetic community." Okay, that's where the antagonism comes from. Well, if you just do a quick search on YouTube, you will see that is definitely not the case. Like, for instance, we have Kemetic science. Jesus ain't real. Now what else you got? You got, is Christianity a copy of ancient Egyptian Kemetic religion? Biblical Christianity taken from Kemet. the mother of Christianity. Christianity stolen from Africa's Kemet, ancient teachings. Brother Polite exposes the plagiarized Bible. No funerals. Polite literally shoots the Bible, and he does. Brother Polite says Jesus is the biggest fraud in the black community. Then, of course, we have Young Pharaoh. Christianity and the Bible exposed. Christianity is a lie, and the black woman is God. Jesus Christ, he a homosexual. Great grammar there. The Bible makes you crazy, right? Now, I can't put this on Shakka because he might not be aware of these videos that are circulating on YouTube, right? But actually, I'll get to that in a minute. There's others as well. He has General Seti and Young Pharaoh, Christianity Exposed, Part 1. Crazy founders of Christian denominations. Who's your daddy? Reason. Seti owns the Bible, TKO. Jesus Myth, right? Also by Sarah Soon Seti. Now, I can understand him not knowing about these other videos, but I can't let him off the hook about the videos that he has done himself. Okay? So you got Shakka Ahmose and the Black Church. Why do all Hebrew Israelites and Muslims fear Shakka Ahmose? African-American illusions about the Bible. Shakka Ahmose, homo gender relations in the Bible. Shakka Ahmose, Yahweh stolen from Egypt. Born again pyramid text before the Bible. Shakka Ahmose. So he himself has been antagonizing the Bible and the believers thereof for look at so many years. There's one here 5 years ago. The other is a year ago each. So who's antagonizing whom?
He's got a strong track record of antagonism out this day, man.
That's what it looks like to me. That's what it looks like to me. You wanna add into that? Yeah,
actually, I do. So, and now, mind you, let me say this. Another reason why we do these lives, like for anybody who watched our series where we broke down the Bantu Jabari debate, where we did a breakdown of that. That we're not just making points to be making points. Like for us, like this really is intended to be a service for believers out there. This is about apologetics. We want to equip the saints to be able to defend the biblical worldview. Okay, and so sometimes we want to make sure that we're illustrating tactics and techniques that folks you're dealing with may employ, so that you'll be aware of it and know how to respond. Okay, so this would be one of those times. Let me share this right here.
Yeah, do your thing.
All right.
Peace to everybody in the chat.
Yeah, the chat is live right now. We got Q in the building. We got D New in the building. Matt Jackson spicing it up. My man Jake Brown. All right. Let me share my screen here. Let me see. Can y'all see that? I'm debating on whether I'm a.
Can you make it a little bigger?
Yeah, I could. I was debating on whether I should put it in a slide. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that real quick. Give me 1 second. All right.
Cool.
All right, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Now I got to figure out how to get to back to the. Okay, here we go. Back to the screen here. Okay, so
we can't see the slide, bro. Oh no, we can't. Okay, good.
Yeah,
okay.
I had to switch over. Yeah.
Right.
So one thing you want to watch out for. You know what I'm saying? I've seen other folks. Shakka's not the only one. This is for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, but this tends to be common. In the conscious community circle. I've seen Brother Polite do it and other people where they're overemphasize trivialities. You know what I'm saying? And by triviality, I mean something that really isn't significant, right? And what you'll see is there will be times where guys will overemphasize a triviality in order to score points rhetorically. Okay. So basically, they're trying to, win over the crowd. And so sometimes they'll correct somebody on something that's really meaningless. Like if somebody mispronounces a word or something like that, or maybe there's something that's a misspelling somewhere, they'll make a whole rant out of it and overemphasize it, not because the point itself is significant, but more so is that they can turn it into something that's rhetorically significant. By rhetorically, I mean it's, basically score style points with the crowd. Okay. Now, this is one of those instances where you just saw Shakka talking about, well, it's never been, the whole Kemet versus Christianity, or the Kemetic community versus Christianity, or whatever. That's not an appropriate way to build the debate because it's always been the other way around. According to him, it should be Christianity versus Kemet. Now, here's the thing. If you understand how the word versus is used, okay, look at the definition. Versus is used to indicate two people, teams, etc., that are fighting or competing against each other or that are opposed to each other in a legal case, right? There's another definition here. Used to indicate two different things, choices, etc., that are being compared or considered, okay? These are, there's a bunch of different ways that somebody can use the term versus, okay? Now, these definitions describe at least two of them, all right? Now, the term versus, once you, like, say you put those two, VS, and then your period, I mean, it's not like a directional kind of a thing. That's just not how that works. Like if I say right now, the Los Angeles Lakers are in the finals versus the Miami Heat, I don't mean that the aggressors in this situation are the Los Angeles Lakers, right? And that somehow the Miami Heat are trying to defend themselves. No, what I mean by that is there are two competing entities that are going one with another. I could just as easily say that Miami Heat are they're in the finals, NBA finals, versus the Los Angeles Lakers. And I haven't done any injustice in terms of any wording there, because the right way to understand how versus is being used is they can go either way. It's not, that term versus is not necessarily directional. All right. So he wants to kind of score points about, oh, well, historically it's always been this, has always been that, when really versus, there's no good reason to think that it has to be that way. It can go, it's not directional. Number two, you see in that second definition, it talks about how it's two different things that are being compared or considered. Okay, now let me go to my next slide right quick. All right. Now, can y'all see that?
Yeah.
All right, it's going to turn off for a second while I switch over. All right. Okay, so this is the layout of the debate that happened last year. Okay, there were three main topics. Now, remember our two definitions. We're talking about two, entities or teams or people or whatever that are going against each other. It's not directional. Now, when you think about the questions that were laid before Bantu and Jabari, number one, is Christianity the white man's religion? Number two, was Jesus a copy of Kemet? Number three, who has a solution for Black America? Okay, now again, think about those two definitions I just mentioned in terms of verses. The first two questions are basically aligned with that first definition of verses that we saw. We got two different entities contending with one another. Now, in this instance, we have Brother Jabari representing the Kemetic community, and we have Vince Bantu representing the Christian community. And by representing, when you think about it, it's just like if I were chosen to be on the Olympic swim team or something like that. Now I can't swim all that well, so that'll never happen. But let's just say that I was. Let's say I was on the Olympic swim team, and I'm representing America. So you could rightly say that it's America versus Japan, Ireland, whoever else is in the competition. It doesn't, but to say that America is versus these other nations is obviously not to say that every individual in America is, participating in this event. Is that I'm representative of my nation in that instance. So likewise, when we think of Christianity versus Kemet, in terms of the debate last year, you had these representatives of these communities representing the perspectives and so on and so forth that, would be indicative of these different communities, or that would coincide with these different communities. So in the first two, questions, you're dealing with representatives of each worldview clashing. That coincides with the definition of verses that we just saw. And then the third one, who has a solution for Black America? There was a comparison of the different worldviews, right? That coincides with that second definition of verses that I laid out. Okay. So in terms of the dynamics that were at play in this debate, right? You indeed have Christianity versus Kemet representatively, and also in terms of the comparison of the two different worldviews. All right. Now, aside from that, notice Shakka bases his contention about how the debate was built on historically it's been this way, or historically it's been that way. Well, it could very well be the case. Let's just grant. Let's just say that even if it were the case, that historically the majority of animosity has come from the Christian community. Let's just say that was the case. Nevertheless, this debate was about this debate. Okay. The term, Christianity versus Kemet is descriptive of the two parties or entities that are at play in this debate, regardless of what's happened historically. In this debate, it is the case that you have Christianity versus Kemet. Or you could easily say Kemet versus Christianity. Either or. It doesn't have to be directional. So I said that to say, I'm saying you have to watch out for these trivialities. I'm saying, as somebody said here, Brother Polite uses those taxes all the time. Very much so. And that's not even a disrespect to him. It's just, I'm not, a matter of fact, this is not even a matter. I'm not saying that people are being deceitful necessarily. I'm just saying that what you want to do is you want to be aware of these kind of tactics so that, if you're engaged with somebody, you can call it out and basically just really illustrate, hey, look, you haven't really brought anything substantive to the plate by acknowledging this or that, triviality. You haven't done any disservice, or you haven't undermined my position at all. You just pointed out something trivial. Or if you're watching a debate and you see somebody overemphasizing the triviality, you know that even though in the moment they may be ranting and sounding very passionate, you shouldn't, reasonable people shouldn't be persuaded by these kinds of trivialities. And so it helps us to separate rhetoric from rigorous argumentation, right? So that's just want to kind of make that point there.
Nah,
right?
Good stuff, bro. Good stuff. Next timestamp.
Okay. Give me a second to get over there. Oop. You might want to chat amongst the, hit the chat up.
Yo, what up? I see the bodega ladies are in the building. What up, y'all? The guy, the real American Mr. Phil Fox in the building. The bodega is definitely in the building. You know what I mean? We got Carly Waller. We got, of course, MJ. Got Dr. Detroit in the building. We got Tyler Lott. You know what I mean? We got all the usual suspects.
All the usual suspects.
Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. That's us again. And it's been a while since me and Adam have done these breakdowns. And it's funny. I thought we was done breaking down this debate, but I guess it's not true, huh?
It's the gift that keeps on giving, bro. It's the gift
that
keeps on giving. All right, cool. So let me. All right, yeah, there we go. All right, and I think I'm in the right place. Yeah.
I mean, if you want to start a couple seconds earlier, that might be good too.
Okay, cool. So a couple seconds earlier, lest we be accused of taking them out of context. All
exactly.
Right? And by the way, actually, I should put. I'm going to put the link to this video that we're critiquing in the description of this video. Let me just say this too. I mean, I know that, and this is, I'm not going to be too long-winded. I promise. But we're going to take our time with this joint. We're going to break it down bit by bit.
Yes, sir.
What's funny about this is, and Alfredo, you can vibe with this, right? I don't believe there's anybody on the planet who was more anxious to watch this Shakka Ahmose video than you and I, bro.
Oh, bro, we was talking about this every day, bro. We was on the phone every day, and no matter what we're talking about, it could be your kids, it could be, the pandemic. Somewhere in that conversation, like, yo, did the video drop yet?
Right.
Did the video drop yet?
Bro, like we was ready for this jank like it was the new Madden, bro. Like we was like, yo, it's like when Madden dropped. That's what this was, bro. I couldn't wait until Shakka Ahmose dropped this video. I told you, bro. I told you it was going to be hours of entertainment, and we were going to have a lot. We were going to have a lot to break down. I knew it, and he did not disappoint at all.
I mean, so much so we got to do this in 2 parts, right? I mean, it's just so much.
The hardest part about critiquing this video was that there was so much to respond to. Yes. I would have loved to have done this in one session, but it's just impossible, as you guys will see. Speaking of which, I'm saying, everybody, we're doing this breakdown tonight. Shakka Ahmose, we're covering, half of the points that we plan to address, within the time that we're doing here. But make sure if you haven't already, subscribe to BK Apologist channel on YouTube. Because our next session, which is going to be this Thursday, we're going to be doing the second half of our critique of Shakka Ahmose on his channel. So I just want to make sure we throw that out. All right. Cool. Here we go.
And I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to prove it to you. Vincent Bantu defeated Jabari Osaze. In my opinion, I'll say it again. Vincent Bantu, PhD, defeated Jabari Osaze in the debate. That's just, I think if you watch it, you will more or less come to the same conclusion. That does not mean that Vincent Bantu won the debate. I simply said he defeated Jabari Osaze. But as you're going to see when I start this presentation, Vincent Bantu actually ended up losing the debate. See, you say, well, Shaka, what do you mean?
Yeah, you start there. Yeah,
This
what
man
what do you mean, Shaka? What do you mean? What do you mean?
John McCrae, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
Man, John McCrae. Yeah, what does he mean, man? What does this cat? What does this cat talk about, man?
If you could share my screen, sir.
Yes, sir.
Cool. So, as you heard him in the timestamp, he said he defeated Jabari Osase on stage. But as you're going to see when I start this presentation, Vincent Bantu actually ended up losing the debate, right? And we don't have to go to this timestamp, but he also says concerning Osase, you got knocked out, and to me, that's what happened in this debate. Okay? This idea of him winning yet losing the debate is fallacious. Now, in the book Fallacies and Judgments and Reasonableness, Empirical Research Concerning the Pragma Dialectical Discussion Rules, a fallacy is the use of invalid or otherwise faulty reasoning or wrong moves. All right. Now, what fallacy is he guilty of here? Glad you asked. It is the law of non-contradiction. The twin foundations of Aristotle's logic are the law of non-contradiction, also known as the law of the excluded middle in his book, Metaphysics. Quote, the most certain of all principles is defined as follows. It is impossible that the same thing can at the same time both belong and not belong to the same object and in the same respect. And in all other specifications that might be made, let them be added to meet local objections. One cannot win the debate and at the same time lose the debate. Now, he says that because he wants to come off as if he's being brilliant, and he's going to show you how he can unpack that. You cannot unpack bad reasoning. It's a flaw. It's flawed thinking. You know, something can't be A and not A at the same time. Completely illogical. Okay, so remember early on in this video we talked about rhetoric, his ability to persuade. When you are guilty of being fallacious, that short circuits your ability to persuade people to your point, because you can't even get to your point because your lead up to your point is malformed. It's not formed correctly. It can't carry you to where you want to go to explain yourself because you're stuck in this malfunction of logic. Adam?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think, when you think about the three fundamental laws of logic, I feel like he kind of dances in between breaking the three of them throughout the different points in his video. You know what I'm saying? But certainly to say that you won the debate. Now here's kind of what Sharp was saying. Like to say you defeated Jabari Osase, but you lost the debate. Now I know he's going to try to justify that later on, but the fact of the matter is the debate, there was only a debate between two dudes. You know what I'm saying? There's only two dudes, on the stage. Or even if you want to broaden it out, there's only two perspectives that are being represented, you know what I'm saying, by these two dudes that are in contention with each other, as we saw, right? So there wasn't like he was trying to defeat Jabari and everybody in attendance. You know what I'm saying? Right. Where your boy is about to go here in a minute, but that's just not the case. It's silly. I mean, nobody. I mean, I can't remember if you had that flyer up or not for the debate, but there was only two names on that bill, brother. It was Jabari Osase and Vince Bantu, bro. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't nobody else sneaking in there. So if he beat the guy that he was in contention with,
and you say so,
right, he just said it. Then you can't flip the script, and just say, well, now it's no, he didn't win the debate. Now, actually, this is interesting. I hadn't considered it till just now, actually, but I wonder if, in a sense, he's also making the equivocation fallacy with that word debate. Okay? Because on the one hand, he's using the term debate to describe the contention between Jabari and Bantu, right? And he's saying that Bantu won that debate. He defeated Jabari Osase. Okay. At the same time, he's also going, and as people will see in a minute, but he's also using the debate in a different sense to mean not only Bantu in contention with Jabari Osaze, but also in contention with, this gentleman that we'll see in a second, during the Q&A period and whatever it was that guy brought to the table. You know what I'm saying? So to say that you have this debate between, it's basically using the term debate in two different ways. A, against Jabari Osaze, the Bantu against Jabari Osaze, and then B, Bantu versus Jabari Osaze and all these also other folks in the Q&A. And so it's like he switches between the two. I think that's an equivocation fallacy. I'm saying it's like you're using, which one is it, bro? Which way are you going to characterize the debate, right? And you can't use them, interchangeably. You know what I'm saying? As you just kind of alternate between, whether saying that Bantu won or lost. That sounds like the equivocation fallacy to me. I wish I had it on my slides. I had to add it to one of my slides.
That was good. Shout out to Dr. Mason's in the building. This debate has a long shelf life, huh, Doc? Long shelf life, bro.
Right.
Crazy. Actually, next month makes a year, right?
Yeah,
October makes a year of the debate, and we're still dealing with it. People can't handle it. You know what it's like? It's like bronchitis. I feel like this debate, it just lingers.
Yeah, exactly. It's like bronchitis for the conscious community. You know what I'm saying? Because the debate happened, like you said, a year ago, and there's been like this backlash or ripple effect within the conscious community ever since then. You know what I'm saying? First they was trashing Jabari, and then it was beef between Jabari and Garfield and Ankh, and it was like all these dramatics, you know what I'm saying? They kind of, was fallout from the debate. It's like, and now here you have Shakka weighing in, putting his 2 cents or whatever. I mean, it's the gift that keeps on giving, man. It's a gift.
Yeah, pretty much.
I plan on doing a show, like kind of a 1-year anniversary. And matter of fact, I'm gonna reach out to Mason and you and Broussard. Matter of fact, reach out to you guys, see if we can.
Oh yeah, we gotta do it. We gotta chop it up, man.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Do kind of a year in review, anniversary joint. That'd be dope.
Yes, sir. All right, so let's get to the next timestamp.
Okay, cool.
We're moving along, man. We're moving along. I like this.
It's surprising. This is new for us. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, Shawnee. It took a while. You already know. I couldn't watch it in one sitting. It was just so long. It took him a while to get to his points. You know what I mean? So.
It's about like maybe I want to say like the first. I feel like close to an hour. It
took me a while, bro. I couldn't do it in one sitting. It was rough.
Nah, man,
it was rough.
It was hard to sit down and listen to. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, I can be long-winded too, so I guess I need to kind of be, I don't want to be too hard on the brother.
Well, you're long-winded while you're addressing your point. He's long-winded before he even gets to his point.
Right.
Big difference.
Right. All right, here we go.
All right.
Priest. So that's his most pronounced connection to ancient Kemetic culture. Okay.
You know what? Actually, I want to stop this because we've got a pretty good track record of not just critiquing, but also trying to find points of agreement. Right before this segment we're about to play, he talked about how there are, depending on who you're dealing with, different people have different things that draw them to Kemeticism. And I actually kind of appreciated that. I appreciated that breakdown. I thought that was very interesting, where he talked about there are some people who are attracted to Kemet from maybe an intellectual or scholarly standpoint. There are some people who are attracted to it from a spiritual standpoint. And, he would associate, I guess, at least somewhat, well, certainly in this debate, he would associate Jabari with that. And then he said that something, I want to say, I think he used the word aesthetic. There are some people that are attracted to the Kemeticism due to just the aesthetic of it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a very interesting point. I mean, I think that it's something that we need to take into account. We don't want to treat everybody, just assume that they're all the same just because they're rocking with Kemet. It isn't.
They're not monolithic at all. Absolutely.
They're not monolithic. And so I thought that was a very interesting point that he made.
Absolutely.
All right, here we go.
And he also mentioned the fact that he recently got his Masters of Divinity. So that should also tell you that his preoccupation with ancient Kemet is more spiritual than it is anything else. Now, just to let you know, being that I'm speaking about this, my preoccupation with ancient Kemet is really more from an economical perspective. Shout out to Taki and the Happy Valley documentary, even though you owe me on that. So yeah, that's my preoccupation with ancient Kemet, the economic aspect of it and how it influenced the outcomes of ancient Egypt's reality. And that's because for myself, human reality revolves around economics at the end of the day. So
you can stop it there.
For me to try to understand Kemet at a very human.
All right.
So let me share my screen. So
patrons in the building, trying to put them up on the screen. Shout out to my folks out there. Appreciate you coming through.
You can share my screen, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we see
that picture is gold right there, by the way.
I mean, that's an actual picture. I mean, that's not Photoshop. That's how he took the picture. Right. My preoccupation with ancient Kemet is really more from an economical perspective, right? So I thought it'd be interesting to take a small glance at this Nile Valley worldview when it comes to economics. Now, this is not a total, view. It's a snapshot, but it's an interesting one nevertheless. So,
okay.
In the book Ancient Egypt: Anatomy of a Civilization by Barry J. Kemp, it says the late New Kingdom provides some spectacular documentation in the form of an archive of papyri dealing with investigations and trials concerning the promise of instant enrichment through theft. Nothing was sacred. Temple grain supplies were siphoned off, tombs were robbed, temple equipment and fittings were plundered. Although tomb robbery attracted people mainly of lowly status, less arduous forms of theft and dishonesty drew in officials as well, including temple personnel. Indeed, the scale of the thefts often required official participation. He goes on and says, apart from depicting the seamier side of the crumbling fabric of late New Kingdom society, and also the processes of law when they were eventually invoked, the papyri illustrates in a highly colored way motives and means in the contemporary economy. They dramatize the existence of a crude urge for self-enrichment, which in more orderly circumstances would have been sublimated by participation in the marketplace, selling goods, renting or leasing land, making loans, bearing interest, all of them practices explicitly documented. They also reveal the fate of the stolen goods as they re-entered the economy of the living, and in so doing, add usefully to our restricted knowledge of the economic behavior of the time. So in the New Kingdom, part of the economy was thievery. This was part of the economy, right? Now, this is New Kingdom, Did they get down like this in the middle? Did they get down like this, pre-dynastic? I'm not sure. Again, this is a snapshot, right?
It's like, how like in like every barbershop, you got a hustle man?
Yes.
Like imagine a whole nation of just like a hustle, like hustle man. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like
DVDs, the bootleg DVDs.
Yeah, exactly. They show you got a guy, the guy that show up to the barbershop, they got like a case full of like meats or something like that, or fish or whatever that he just bought from
fake Rolex, the Nolexes, the fake Rolexes.
Right. That's what we're dealing with right here. You know what I'm saying? Catch the show. I don't know what the Egyptian equivalent would be to the barbershop. You know what I'm saying? But I guess they was coming in that jank with the temple goods and stuff like that.
Yeah. I got that sarcophagus, son. That sarcophagus was good. Where you get it from? Don't ask no questions, son. I got it at a good price. What's up?
This Book of the Dead, homie. You got this new jank? You got the new Book of the Dead, homie?
This got that extra spell that no one else got, son. 2 for 5 on the spells, baby. They're throwing garbage down the block. I got the goods.
I got you.
Anyway, in the book, in the book, Wretched Kush, Ethnic Identity in Egypt's Nubian Empire by Stuart Tyson Smith, he says, the acquisition of luxuries and valuable bulk goods, whether by peaceful or violent means, was a key economic goal of Egypt's interactions with Nubia and Western Asia. Right? So violence wasn't off the table when you did business with ancient Kemet. It wasn't off the table. It was a viable option. Dealing with other black people, mind you.
Wow. Like, yo, let me get that camel off you, homie.
I'm just saying. So when Shakka says this is his focus,
right,
I find that interesting. It's like, should we be leery of doing business with Mr. Ahmose? if this is where he's getting his reality from when it comes to his economical prowess, something to think about.
Think about.
You know, thoughts.
If he offers to debate you and he wants you to sign that dotted line for the debate, don't do it, homie. There might be some violence coming behind that, Jane, man. I mean,
just saying.
I mean, all jokes aside, so on the one hand, you know, Shakka shouldn't be too upset about American imperialism or, you know, European imperialism. I mean,
well, none of them are. None of them are. They're upset that they're not the imperialists.
Right.
That's the problem. The problem isn't imperialism. It's who's the imperial, who's the dominant culture. That's the problem.
That's the problem. That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, I think it's very interesting that going back to the debate, and people can go back to the my man keeps talking about hustling them oils. Back then, B.
Frankincense, baby. Let's go.
Frankincense and myrrh was real. But seriously, so you know, when you think about back to the debate, right? You know, with Jabari, and I mean, Shakka himself said, you know, that a lot, and he was joking himself. It was like a lot of time, different points of the debate, Jabari would say something to the effect of, you know, they desecrated our temples. Like, you got to explain this, you know, so on and so forth. But obviously, and we made this point before. You made this point in our previous videos. I mean, he would have to say the same thing about his own folk, right? I mean, like, you know, basically the desecration of the temples, disfiguring things. I mean, you dealt with the iconoclasm from a spiritual standpoint and kind of what it meant from like a power play type of a deal. But even in, you know, dealing with the economy here, apparently at certain points during the kingdom, I'm talking about, you know, I mean, Egyptian on Egyptian crime wasn't no problem. You know, like
right. Kemet on Kemet.
You know, you know, like, what about black on black crime? You know, what about Kemet on Kemet crime? These Christians, the face and stuff. What about Kemet on Kemet, homie? You know what I mean? I'm kind of being funny, but really, you know, Jabari attempted to pin the desecration of these temples on, like, solely on the backs of Christians. I'm saying, or as close to that as he possibly could. When in reality, you know, whether it be a sort of power play against somebody, you're trying to, you know, snuff them out of the afterlife or whatever, or in this case, you know, dealing with it from an economic standpoint, obviously, you know, desecration of the temples was something that was in-house problem. That was an in-house problem as well. Yes, so I think it's kind of interesting, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's get to the next joint.
Man, I can't believe it, man. We actually moving along pretty good.
We're flying. For us, we're flying.
For us, right. Let's see, where we at? Where was that? 29. All right. Okay. It's amazing. It must be because it's 2020, man. Maybe that's what it was, man.
Man, I don't know. Put some pep in our step. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe, man.
Shout out Isaiah Braxton. We got my man Rome in the building. What up, baby?
What up? Cats is up in here, man. I'm loving it. Loving the energy in the chat. Oh, my man apologists in Detroit.
Yeah. In
the building. Chris Samuel in the building. That's what's good. I didn't see him in there. Okay, cool. All right, cool. All right, here we go. You see that? Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go.
On his thing. He's making his contribution. And to me, that's what matters at the end of the day. He's doing a hell of a lot more than a lot of other people in the Kemetic community are even trying. So I just have to, you know, give him that. When it comes to this debate, though, it was a big flop. Okay. Now, here's the problem I have with Bantu in his presentation. Bantu was all over the place, desperate in his attempt to make it appear as if Christianity was indeed African, which he failed to do. But he covered up that failure with such a mess of data that even the Christians present would have found it challenging to process what he was saying. But he wasn't selling the what, he was selling the how. How what he was saying would make you feel if you were indeed a black Christian seeking to resolve your race to your religion. In the end, to an unlearned mind, he would have come off as relatively convincing, certainly in contradistinction to Jabari.
All right, you can stop it here.
I don't think that Jabari.
All right, cool.
Shout out to Dustin Thomas. Appreciate the encouragement, brother. Appreciate it.
Right. All right, you can share it, sir.
Speaking of sharing, y'all hit that like button. That share button. We got a good crowd.
That's right.
We got a good crowd in here. I'm saying it because I forgot to share it to my own page. I shared it.
That's terrible.
I forgot to share it to my actual page. So I'm gonna do that while you're doing your thing.
Cool. So as we saw him just say just now in this particular timestamp, he says, now here's the problem I have at Bantu in his presentation. Bantu was all over the place, desperate in his attempt to make it appear as if Christianity was indeed African, which he failed to do. But he covered up that failure with such a mess of data that even the Christians present would have found it challenging to process what he was saying. Right? And what he was saying would make you feel if you are indeed a Black Christian seeking to resolve your race to your religion. Now, remember in the beginning of the video, when we talked about the 4 conditions that one must have in order to show that someone has indeed lied. The first condition, right? Lying requires that a person makes a statement. Here's my question. Where in the debate did Dr. Bantu ever say that Christianity had its origin in Africa? When did he make that statement? And let me expand that statement, that this question. Who within the urban apologetic community has ever made that statement?
Thank you.
When have you heard me or Adam or Mason or anybody in the chat ever say that Christianity began in Africa? You have to show that, right? He just says it. But remember, the first qualifier to show someone's a liar, you gotta show the statement. Mm-hmm. Where's the statement? There isn't any. So right off the bat, he fails at one of his attempts of showing the lies that Christian apologists tell. Because to showcase the lie, you have to show the statement first. Now that statement could be in an MP4, MP3, a screenshot of a post somewhere. All that will qualify as a statement. He does nothing of the sort. Why? Because there is no statement. And this idea that let me go back here one. This idea that Black Christians are seeking to resolve your race to your religion. Where is that statement? Where have you seen this taking place? You know, I think, Adam, they misunderstand when we say that Christianity is not the white man's religion. Right. They assume by default that what we really mean is Christianity is the Black man's religion. Right. And what they're doing is they're projecting how they see their worldview on us. Right? Because in order for you to be a Hebrew, you have to be genetically Hebrew. Right? If you're going to be part of the Kemetic community, you have to be genetically part of the Kemet in order to partake. That is not Christianity at all. Christianity isn't. Your genetics play no part in you receiving the gospel of Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. You know, in fact, we see this in Scripture. Right? Let's show some Bible here. Genesis 17. Abram bowed down with his face to the ground, and God said to him, "As for me, this is my covenant with you. You will be the father of a multitude of nations. No longer will your name be Abram. Instead, your name will be Abraham, because I will make you the father of a multitude of nations. I will make you extremely fruitful. I will make nations of you, and kings will descend from you. I will confirm my covenant as a perpetual covenant between me and you. It will extend to your descendants after you throughout their generations. I will be your God and the God of your descendants after you." This is a royal grant, a unilateral covenant that Yahweh makes with Abram, that from Abram, he's going to have many nations, and that these nations will be under the guidance and covenant of Yahweh. This is a promise and a contract that he bestows upon Abraham. Mm-hmm. And we see that this is the thread throughout Scripture. It's about God gathering the nations back to him. We see that, you know, in Matthew 28, the Great Commission, making disciples of all nations. We see during Pentecost when all these people from these different nations were in Jerusalem and they hear the gospel for the first time and they become Christians and the church begins. We see this happening throughout the book of Acts as Paul and Peter and the rest of the first century believers are going out proclaiming the good news to Jew and Gentile alike. And then in a vision that John has in the island of Patmos in Revelation chapter 7, we see this. "After these things, I looked, and here was an enormous crowd that no one can count, made up of persons from every nation, tribe, people, and language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb dressed in long white robes and with palm branches in their hands. They were shouting out in a loud voice, "Salvation belongs to our God who is seated on the throne and to the Lamb." So in the end, Jesus giving John this fast forward look at the end game. All nations make it.
Right.
All tribes make it. Because the gospel is for everyone. Now, does Bantu agree with this kind of scriptures?
Let me just break in right quick and say,
Sure.
you know what I'm saying? Because I want to say that, Shaka's not alone in the mistake that he's making here, because I see so many, I would say probably, I think it's fair to say that the vast majority of Hebrew Israelites that I've come in contact or am aware of make this same mistake, the same mistake in terms of kind of short arming the gospel in terms of its reach, right? And I think I'm not going to get into it now, but I think it's because there's an identity issue there that they're trying to resolve. That's something resolving in ways that the Bible doesn't prescribe or lay out. But my point is, when you think about like Isaiah, for example, and everybody knows the specific verse, they can put it in the chat, but it talks about how Israel was supposed to be a light to the Gentiles, a light to the nations, right? It was literally part of the commission of Israel to be a light to the nations, such that now that we can, looking back through the New Testament, we can see how God was, planning to graft, in the Gentiles through Christ. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so that was the role that Israel was supposed to play. Now, I said that to say that if you hold the view like this anti-Gentile, only Israel can be saved kind of a view, if that's the view that you're holding, then you literally are undermining one of the most beautiful aspects of God's intended mandate for Israel. I'm saying that God-given mandate for Israel to be a light to the nations, you're undermining that. You see what I'm saying? That's the reality of it. And I don't think that Hebrew Israelites really understand that how much of a disservice they're doing to Israel and the purpose that God has for Israel by imbibing this anti-Gentile, whatever, doctrine. And, we're seeing the same thing here, or something similar anyway, with Shakka Ahmose. I think he's really misunderstanding from an identity standpoint. Shout out to Michelle Turner for the super chat. I think Benjamin Handelman had one earlier, so shout out to him as well. Appreciate y'all, man. Really do. Appreciate you.
Yep.
He said we breaking it down.
We're trying. So, funny enough, Bantu's first book is entitled what? A Multitude of All Peoples. Right. Engaging Ancient Christianity's Global Identity, Missiological Engagements. Now, let's look at the synopsis of this book that you will find if you go to Amazon when you purchase this book, because you should. This is an amazing book. And it says this: Christianity is not becoming a global religion. It has always been a global religion. The early Christian movement spread from where? Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. In every direction, taking on local cultural expression all around the ancient world. So why do so many people see Christianity as a primarily Western white religion? In A Multitude of All Peoples, Vince Bantu surveys the geographic range of the early church's history, revealing an alternate, more accurate narrative to that of Christianity as a product of the Western world. He begins by investigating the historical roots of the Western cultural captivity of the church, from the conversion of Constantine to the rise of European Christian empires. He then shifts focus to the too often forgotten concurrent development of diverse expressions of Christianity across Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. In the process, Bantu removes obstacles to contemporary missiological efforts, focusing on the necessity for contextualization and indigenous leadership in effective Christian mission. He draws out practical lessons for intercultural communication of the gospel, healing the wounds of racism, imperialism, and colonialism, and will be possible only with renewed attention to the marginalized voices of the historic global church. The full story of early Christianity makes clear that, as the Apostle Peter said, God does not show favoritism, but accept those from every people who fear him and do what is right.
You know what? I think this is a perfect time. I was actually going to play this clip. I think it's relatively short, but it really goes well with what you just said. So let me play it right here, because this kind of gets to something that another mistake that I think Shakka is making that's related to this right here. Let me go ahead and play it.
Go for it.
black, and blah, 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 blah. They got keys, I call keys to the cell. Every time you catch a Christian in a lie or in a fallacy or in a faux pas, they have the key, they have the magic Jesus key that opens the door and lets them out with an excuse. When you accuse them of trying to peddle Christianity as being black and African by invoking the Ethiopian church in North Africa and the early church fathers and Egypt as well, when you accuse them of trying to do that, then they'll come back with, oh no, I wasn't saying that Christianity was black or that even that it's African, but that it's not the white man's religion. So it could be the Chinese man's religion. It could be the Mexican man's religion. What we saying is that it ain't African. It ain't black. Okay? That's what we saying. We want something purely of our own pure creation. It's kind of like the difference between having an adopted child and your biological child. You understand? Now, with all due respect, I don't know many adopted people out there.
You kind of goes to the segue there. I really want you listen to what he just said. We want something that's purely of our own creation, right? So there's a couple things here. Let me show this slide right quick.
Do your thing.
Okay. So give me one here. Let me see here. Let me stop sharing that. This is very crucial, y'all. Okay.
Shawnee Miller. It's the still shots for me. You like that, huh? Again, I didn't doctor anything. That's an actual photo of him. So,
oh, what's that? We're not dealing with a caricature here, man. We just
no. That's an actual photo of him.
Straight with no chaser.
Straight
with no chaser.
And that's him on the horse. He's actually on the horse. I didn't put him on the horse.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I thought we was
He's on the horse.
That's actually him. And as far as the thumbnail. Okay, yeah. So yeah, this really is the video I just played. I think illustrates two key mistakes that he's making, some of which you already covered. So I'm not gonna belabor the point there. But I think Shakka misunderstands the argument. It's this issue of origin versus compatibility. Okay, I'm gonna frame it that way.
Nice.
We are not saying that somehow Christianity, you know what I'm saying, I'm even gonna be careful with that, but because there's a couple different directions I can go there. But for the sake of, in terms of engaging what he's saying, we're not gonna say that Christianity like originated in Africa or something like that. You know, that's not our argument. Our argument is not that it is the black man's religion, as in we have some sort of control or hegemony or it's exclusive to us or anything like that, right? That's not what we're saying. What we are saying is that all these claims about Christianity being the white man's religion and everything that goes along with that creates a mistaken impression that somehow one's African ethnicity and heritage is incompatible with Christianity. And what we're doing is we're tearing down that lie with historical and philosophical evidence. Okay, we're basically tearing down this brick wall of fallacies and misinformation that divides, you know, people, at least in their perception, divides Christianity from Africanness. I'll just call it that. We're saying that Christianity is not incompatible, you know what I'm saying, with African heritage and ethnicity. That's number one. Number two, which is even more important, actually, in terms of what we are claiming and how we do characterize Christianity, is that Christianity is transcendent. It's culturally, ethnically transcendent. Okay, no people group owns it, right? As you heard Shakka Ahmose say, he said they want something of their own pure creation. All right. What we're saying is that Christianity is something more than that. I'm saying we're not offering you something that's just your own creation. We're offering you something that comes from God himself, that's transcendent, right? That's the issue. If you want a man-centered, you know, put you in the forefront and it's all about you type of worldview, I can't help you with that. I'm saying if you want a worldview that puts God in his proper place as being the object of attention and worship and so forth, and thus by, you know, coming under that, you're able to find your proper way to evaluate yourself and understand your true value. If that's what you want, if you want a view of yourself that's in line with reality as it actually is, that's what we're giving you in Christianity. I'm saying we're giving you something that's transcendent culturally, ethnically. It transcends, you know, mankind in general, right? Now, let me give you an example. Okay, I think a lot of the confusion is that when people talk about religion, spirituality, whatever, okay, I think they tend to look at it as there's a sort of relativism that people see it. It's like, okay, it's almost like, well, what's good for you is what's good for that ethnicity or culture. That's good for them. This culture, this ethnicity, they do something over there that's different. Matter of fact, I'll use music as an example. Okay. Just broadly speaking, right? You got like your death metal, you know what I'm saying? Let's just characteristically, we'll just say, the white folks get down with that. And then you got, neo soul. I mean, it's kind of, like black people,
right.
Or hip hop or something like that.
Right.
That's how people are conceiving of like these religions and spiritualities. It's like these different, what's the word I'm looking for? Not appendage, but accessories. It's like they're cultural accessories, if you will, like a purse or a necklace or something like that. Somebody's religion is an accessory to this or that culture, right?
Like if I want to look black, I wear dashiki, or if I want to be Hispanic, I wear guayabera.
Right.
So I need a worldview that accompanies my wardrobe.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So what we're saying is Christianity is something far more fundamental than that, right? It's not like rap music or rock music or whatever. It's like sound itself. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So when people talk about like, Christianity, it was stolen or, whatever, right? It would be like saying
it's the brown shoes of worldviews. It goes with everybody.
Right.
Brown shoes go with everything.
There you go. It is kind of like that. You know what I'm saying? But it would be like, let's say, for example, I'll use rock music. Now we understand historically that rock music actually was started by,
right.
from what I understand, a black man. I think it's Chuck Berry, right? So, and then it was later on stolen by, some white folks. I mean, I guess, Elvis or whoever else, you know what I'm saying? So, let's say that they stole that genre of music. I think that's how people conceptualize, Christianity. Like it's been taken by this other culture, right? But really, I'm saying that Christianity is like stealing sound and stuff. It would be like stealing the note C, like, from a musical standpoint. You know what I'm saying? It would be like stealing sound itself. You can't steal sound, right? That's the difference that we're dealing with here. I'll use another example. Think of like mathematics, right? Mathematics is not culturally submitted. It's not submitted to any particular culture. 2 + 2 is 4. No matter where you go in the world, no matter who says it or whatever, it's a fixture of reality itself, right? So when I'm saying that Christianity is true, or if I'm talking about Christianity, I'm not talking about something that's like I like vanilla ice cream and you like chocolate. I'm saying that Jesus Christ rose from the grave, right? God exists. God is a Trinity. Jesus is Lord. I'm saying these things are a fact of the matter. I'm saying they are reality in the same sense that 2 + 2 = 4. That's what we're talking about.
Right.
And those kinds of truths that we're talking about here are culturally transcended. Okay, regardless of where you come from, you know what I'm saying, it's culturally transcended. I'll give you another math example. As I understand it, if you look at mathematics in ancient Egypt, okay, they did not utilize the number 0 in their form of mathematics. I'm saying I think it was like the Babylonians or something like that.
It's base 16, right? I think that math was
right. So they didn't use the number 0. Okay, it was some other culture. Now, obviously, I'm sure people in Egypt today use the number 0. You know what I'm saying? But in either case, right, the 0 is a useful number for calculating things. I'm saying regardless of whether Kemet used it or not, right? And once they adopted using it, it didn't become like, it's not like they've done a disservice to their culture by utilizing a mathematical tool to calculate this, that, and the third. You see what I'm saying? In the same way, when it comes to Christianity, you know what I'm saying, I'm talking about like the gospel, right? Or the biblical worldview as a whole. We're saying that the biblical worldview represents reality as it actually is, just like 2 + 2 = 4 and these other things. And by aligning with reality as it actually is, you haven't done any disservice to your culture or whatever, just like somebody, who used mathematics that wasn't indigenous to Kemet or something like that. It's the same, right?
Also, I don't think he understands when he says that, how he's throwing all his ancestors under the bus, right? Because these ancient Kemetic people, when they first heard the gospel, they didn't say, that's not black, so we don't want it. No, they accepted it and they made Jesus Lord. And then they did what Kemetic people usually do when they accept a new God. The older gods get thrown out. They get literally scraped off the walls and temples get desecrated. Because that's what Kemetic people have always done to idols that go out of style.
Now, wait a minute. I got to disagree with you there, man.
Uh-oh.
This is the first time it's ever happened. I got to disagree.
Okay.
What actually happened was this.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Let me stop sharing that real quick. What actually happened was Kemet and the inhabitants thereof were as smart as could possibly be with all the melanin and science and mathematics and whatever. And then they just got stupid right there in the first century. Miraculously. They all just got
all the brain cells just left their heads. It's gone.
Left their heads. I'm saying their ability to reason left a year before the first century. You know what I'm saying? So that by the time Christianity comes
right. They were just a bunch of dumb doorknob
idiots, and they were, brainwashed into Christianity, and that's what happened, brother. These first century Egyptians, they were idiots, man. That's what happened. Right.
But you can't, you see, but what do they do with that? What do they do with these ancestors that you prop and give honor? And I'm not saying you shouldn't honor the people that have passed. I'm not saying that. But these people that you really honor. So what you're saying is they were stupid. There was this moment in time where these amazing ancestors were a bunch of dummies.
Right. Apparently.
That's what you're saying when you say stuff like this.
Right.
Yeah. Well, but anyway.
I mean, yeah, it really does do a disservice to all, those ancestors who made a free will decision to say, you know what, there's something that aligns with the reality more so than these spiritual practices that we've been engaging in, right? So, but it just really goes to show you how actually, and let me just say this, they do the same thing with enslaved persons, okay, in America. When it comes to African enslaved persons here in America, they want to talk a lot about, they were brainwashed, they were beat into it, they were this, they were that. And I'm actually going to deal with this a little bit later, but they do such a disservice. I mean, it's true. It's one of the things that pisses me off. I ain't gonna lie to you. More so than any other argumentation I hear coming out of the conscious community. Just about, I can't stand when they just trample upon our African enslaved forefathers and foremothers for the sake of their own rebellion against Christ. You're going to throw our enslaved forefathers and foremothers under the bus and denigrate them in the same way that the slave masters did. Because that's what the slave masters said, is that we weren't intelligent. We didn't have a capacity to understand this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have the wherewithal. We didn't have souls, and we didn't have the wherewithal, intellectual reason. That's what Thomas Jefferson believed about Sally Hemings as he was raping her. And you guys are peddling the same exact lie. You guys are peddling the same exact lie every single time you resort to this notion that our African enslaved forefathers and foremothers didn't have the mental capacity to make a rational free will decision to serve Christ, who was the only God meeting them where they were, you know what I'm saying, down in when they were in those chains. Horus wasn't there. Asaraset wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Tahuti wasn't there, right? Where were they at? You want to talk about where was Jesus? Where were they at? That's what I want to know. But rather than just stand on your own 2 feet and say, I'm just going to rebel against God because that's what I want to do. No, you want to throw our African enslaved forefathers and foremothers under the bus. When actually, historically, when you look at how we came out of slavery, fam, what are we talking? Look at the Reconstruction period, dog. How do you go from being enslaved to, like, within 5 years having African persons serving in Congress, in the nation that they were enslaved in? How do you have a people go from the cotton fields with like 95% illiteracy to within a generation bringing that down to about 30%? But they were so stupid, though, right? They were just brainwashed. They couldn't do that, right? Come on, man. It's disgusting. Really, what it is, and I'm saying this to all of y'all out there, all of y'all who follow that argumentation, what you have done is you have drunk the Kool-Aid of white supremacy, and you're regurgitating, you're throwing it back up on your own community. Stop it. That's what you need to do. Stop it.
Facts.
All right. Soapbox.
That was great soapbox. Great soapbox. I loved it. Yeah, so let's keep pushing.
All right. Hey, man, I got a little jazz. I just can't.
Nah, bro, because this is for real for you and for us. No,
real, man. I can't stand it.
I feel you, bro.
Stand it, man. Yeah.
But they're pro-black. You know what I mean? They're the pro-black. They're RBG.
Right?
They're RBG, right? Gotta be kidding. All right.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Where are we at here, man? Oh, let me.
Adam tight.
No,
Adam
I mean,
tight right now.
you know what it is, man. Like, so I mean, you know what? I'm not even gonna go there. I'm because we're gonna be on here like another extra 30 minutes. But that just frustrates me to no end, man. You gotta stop trampling
And
on.
rightfully so, bro.
Stand on your own too, dog. All right, 36. Okay, cool. I'm gonna find the next slide.
All right.
Woo.
Yeah, Adam's definitely going in, man. He's definitely going in, and I don't think that they're so hot and trying to get us that they're literally shooting their own feet.
Right.
You know what I mean? They literally shooting like they will throw their ancestors under the bus if they could score a point, unbeknownst to themselves. They don't even know they're doing it. I don't think they even know they're doing it. You know what I mean?
I think it was the cat man, that battle rapper who went up against Calico had that iconic verse.
Loaded Lux?
Loaded Lux, you know what I'm saying? He said in that joint, would you kill the world to save yourself? He threw an N-word in after that, so I'm not gonna say that. Right. You know, would you kill the world, you know what I'm saying, to save yourself? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that. So, you know, are you gonna trample under you trample your ancestors underfoot, I'm saying, just so you can, you know, rebel against God?
Absolutely.
Nah, come on, man. Stand on your own 2 feet, brother.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at with it. All right. Oh, yeah, I probably would help if I shared the video, wouldn't
it? That would be nice. That would be nice. Yeah, Shawnee, Adam just went off. These are facts.
Right.
All
right, here we go. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
Do you remember when I said Vincent lost the debate? The only thing is that he didn't lose the debate to Jabari. This is something I've never seen before. Now, here's the thing. At the end of the day, you could say, well, the debate was, is Christianity the white man's religion? To me, that was never the debate. That was really more of a distraction with low-hanging fruit that the Christian side felt they could easily pick because of the documentation that they have. And they even do a poor job doing that.
You can start there.
Easy to pick apart.
Cool. All right.
You can start there. So, all right. So we just heard Shakka say, if you can share my screen, sir.
All right.
Is Christianity the white man's religion? To me, that was never the debate. Listen, let me get Brooklyn real quick.
Okay.
It's not for you to say, fam.
Right.
Who are you to say what the debate is?
Right.
You know when you have a chance to say what the debate is? When you're in the debate.
Right.
That's when you can say, I want to debate this subject. And then the other person can yay or nay it. You was not in this debate. You don't get to call the shots. You wasn't in the meetings. You didn't make the flyer. You wasn't there. Right. You could have been there. You could have been there. We wanted you in the squared circle.
Uh-oh.
You fronted.
Uh-oh.
So don't play, oh, it should never, you don't get to be, you know, in the sideline saying that's not what it should be. It could have been different if you was on that stage, but you didn't want it. Even after the fact. But Damon's like, me and you, let's get in the squared circle. Why that can't happen right now?
Why?
Figure it out. We could talk behind the scenes. We could make these phone calls that we need to make, and we can get something popping.
We can.
You already know, fam.
You already know what it is.
Stop playing. Don't do this.
You don't want that smoke, dog.
Don't do this. Don't be like, hey, it shouldn't have. Well, then make it what it should be.
Yeah.
Sit down. Let's talk with Damon. Let's figure out the subject matter, and let's get to it. Let's talk about what the debate should be, Shakka.
Yeah, we can make it happen.
But don't be like, don't retract and don't debate, but then turn around and say what the debate should be. You don't have to write. Because you had a chance to be on that square circle, fam. You had the right. You had it. We gave you the opportunity. You said no.
And you know,
no one said no over here, fam.
No, I mean,
nobody here saying no to you.
Now, here's the thing about it, because I was behind the scenes involved in how the debate developed, right?
Right.
From the earliest point. You know what I'm saying, like, you know, there were some people, I was in the chats and text messages and stuff and deliberating about how things were going to work. I saw how it developed. Now, I said it to say this. He says it makes the accusation that, or I'll just say speculation, that, you know, the Christians felt like the way that we build this topic would be, you know, like kind of like low hanging fruit or something like that. I'm telling you, as somebody who was involved from day one, that on like, well, you know, put it this way, how it developed, both sides of the game were involved in agreement with the direction of the debate. Simple as that. There was no leverage from the Christian side to impose our will on the debate and make it all about what we wanted to be about to gain some sort of advantage. That wasn't the case. That wasn't the case. As a matter of fact, if we want to keep it real, the way the debate turned out, actually, we really gave Jabari more leverage than we should have. Because when you think about the way that the questions are framed, is Christianity the white man's religion? That's question number one. Question number two, is Jesus a copy from Kemet, right? Both of those questions put Christianity on the defensive. Kemet wasn't defending anything for the first 2/3 of the debate. The only time where Kemet was like in any way had to bring something to the table, right, to argue from a positive standpoint, okay, to argue for something, was in the last section of the debate where they were comparing who has a solution for Black America. That was kind of like an even Steven. You know what I'm saying? It was just a comparison between two worldviews. But for the first two questions, actually, Christians we were taking the defensive. Okay. Now I'm gonna tell you straight up. Now, I watch debates like I watch the NFL. You know what I'm saying, or the NBA. Like I do it for enjoyment. From a strategical standpoint, I'm saying you don't want to go into a debate where 2/3 of the debate are stacked against you.
Right.
What you would do is you would have one question that may be putting Christianity on the defensive. Then you would have a second question that will put Kemet on the defensive. And then if you're gonna have a third question, you would have the third be kind of like a even one, like the third one was, right? So actually, we came in aware that we were actually handicapping ourselves for the debate. The leverage of the questions, the way the questions were worded, were in Jabari's favor. Okay. So it's not, so don't come with this, oh, they was trying to go after low-hanging fruit or so on and so forth. No. Just I'm telling you from somebody who was from day one, that wasn't the case. And you can just look at how the questions were framed and just understand in any given debate, you don't want to put yourself unnecessarily on the defense. And if given how the debate questions were worded, that's what we did. And still got a W. So that's what that is.
Facts.
You know?
So
right.
Again, don't play the sidelines and then be like, that's not what the debate should be. When we gave you the keys to join, the door is open. The door is still open. You want to get this thing going with Damon? Let's talk about it. Let's do it.
Open. Will there be one?
Let's talk about it. You know what I mean? It's like, but don't do this. Either say, I don't want to, if you don't want debate, I respect that. But don't turn around and be like, well, that's not what it should be. Well, then you get in the ring and make it what it's supposed to be. And if you're not willing to do that, you really shouldn't say much. You really shouldn't. You sound crazy. I'm sorry.
Now,
I'm sorry. You sound a little crazy, bro. That's not what the debate should be. Come on, don't do that. Don't do that.
Everybody who was a participant, everybody in attendance knew what it was. But we got a dude who wasn't even there going to talk about
a year later. Now it must be like, that's not what it should have never been.
Right. It's not even a day late and $1 short. This guy is a year later.
Almost to the day. A year to almost to the day. Now you want to be like, nah.
Right.
It could have been you. And it still can be. The door's open, fam.
Of course.
Let's do it. Put the gloves on.
Man, look.
Put the gloves on.
I know everybody in the urban apologetics community. Nobody is scared of Shakka Ahmose. I know everybody. You know what I'm saying? Nobody is sitting around worried that Shakka Ahmose is going to say something or make a video about him. Nobody's shook about that.
Put the gloves on, get in the ring, or don't say anything about it.
Man, Damon can make it. He been told you what was up. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at if you watch this, don't get mad at us. I'm just putting on the table which you already know. You already know what it is with Damon Richardson. So, I mean, I'm just saying. Matter of fact, he mentions him in this video like 3 times.
Yes.
Like 3 times. He calls him the big dragon, Damon Richardson, or whatever. Hey, holla at him. I got his number. I can call him right now, fam. It's nothing. You know what I mean? So, but now here's the thing.
Listen, I'm gonna just say it. Stop running.
Stop running.
We're not running. Nobody on this side is running. There's no footsteps being heard over it in this side.
At all.
But you're galloping somewhere else on that horse.
At all.
Sorry.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, it's like no one's running over here, fam. Come on.
Like, yo, seriously, let me. I know I'm jazzed up right now. I'm not talking trash. I'm not trying to be like disrespectful or anything. I'm saying, as a matter of fact, that nobody is afraid over here, dog. I'm saying like that. That's look. I understand. You know what? Let me just clarify something. I'm saying I understand that the conscious community at this point has had decades of beating up on Christians unawares. I understand that you guys have loads of videos of people walking down 125th. You know what I mean? Not knowing that they're going to get banned, you know, just kind of ambushed by Sonnet or whoever. I'm not just, you know, right. So I'm just saying somebody who might have a camera and interview and ask a question to get stumped by. That's not what this is. That's over with. Like that's done.
Yeah, those days is done.
Those days are done.
Those days is gone.
You know what I'm saying? When it comes to all these pseudo scholars out here, you used to be able to put on a video, you know what I mean, bashing Christianity, all this and that. You know, you used to be able to put up a meme, you know, on Facebook, and you know, you'd be able to get all kind of likes and stuff. That's done. That's done. Because you know, if you put your hand out there, you get caught in that cookie jar. Alfredo's gonna be out there. He might be in the thread. He might do a response video. I might do a response video. MJ Jackson, Michelle,
sisters might say something.
Of course,
sisters might say something.
Bro, anybody can get it, bro. Like this is not back in this. We not in the 90s no more, dog, or early 2000s. That's not what this is anymore, dog. You know what I'm saying? This is that fire next time. I mean, I'm gonna borrow James Baldwin's word. This is the fire next time, bro. That's what this is. Just so you know, that's what this is. This is not, you know, nobody's running scared at all.
Nobody.
You know what I'm saying?
Nobody.
Hey, man, they don't know,
man. Nobody.
Here, bro. We're not playing over it. You know what? Because, and I'm gonna tell you why. And we got to go to some more points.
Yeah, we're going off the rails.
I know, we're going off the rails. I'm gonna tell you why I'm so jazzed up. Because this, like, I love my people. You know what I'm saying? And I recognize that there's a twofold issue going on here. You know what I'm saying? I'm fully persuaded, given the evidence, you know what I'm saying, and so forth, that Christianity, the biblical worldview, represents reality as it actually is. And there are eternal implications for rejecting the gospel. You know what I'm saying? Jesus is Lord. He's paid our way. You know what I'm saying? By, you know, getting up on that cross, paying the penalty for our sin. You know what I'm saying? Such that we can make it into the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? And if you reject that, there's eternal consequences for that. That's number one. Number two, there are right here, right now, consequences for having a wrong worldview. Bad worldviews, erroneous worldviews have negative, will yield negative results right here, right now. If you don't have a proper understanding of what justice is, what man is, saying reasoning rightly, right? Identity, morality, so on and so forth. If you don't have a right understanding of these things, no community can grow from a erroneous worldview. Then we can't build on that. And so, because I love my people, you know what I'm saying, because I love my people, of course I don't want to see them fall prey to these, you know, erroneous worldviews out here. That's why I go so hard in the paint. It's nothing personal. It's just, you know, I'm shout out to my man A-Ward, battle rapper. I ain't come to get personal with you, but I got enough facts to body you and every person that's with you. That's how. That's real. Ooh. That's real. So,
put the gloves on, Shakka. That's what we're saying. Don't be in the sidelines critiquing about what it should be. Make it what it you make it what it should be. You do it.
You do it.
You do it, fam.
Please.
Because we're here. So, all right, we're off the rails.
I'm gonna make a relevant point. You know, when it comes to, he says, to me, this is what the debate was about. Now, if you pay attention, shout out to my man Leroy Hill. He really kind of schooled me on this concept here called the planted axiom. Okay, the planted axiom. And basically, it's like in any given conversation, or I'll just say like a debate or dialogue or whatever, there are times when somebody can, you know, insert an idea, and if you accept that idea, then all their conclusions from it will follow. I'm saying you basically conceded, you know, the debate from there on in. You know what I mean? So so sometimes people will do that to try to gain leverage in the conversation. So, you know, this is in a sense kind of like the planted axiom, where we accept that, you know, if we accept Shakka's understanding of what the debate is about, then some of his other points are going to make some sense. But the problem is, as we'll see in a minute, there's no good reason to do that. Matter of fact, let me show my screen right quick before we go on. Okay, can't remember what our next point is, but let me just share this right now.
Okay.
I got a word for you here, man. You ready?
I'm ready.
I don't know if you're ready for this one, man. I actually made up a word.
Let's find out.
I actually made up a word for this, man.
Uh-oh.
Trust me, this is not a misspelling. Conlusion.
Collusion. A combination of confusion and delusion. Nice.
The conlusion of Shakka Ahmose.
Nice.
I'm defining conlusion to be a combination of confusion and delusion. That's what we're dealing with. Conlusion right here. You know what I'm saying? Because Shakka Ahmose, he literally, he's got a failed attempt here to colonize the debate, fam. He tried to make the debate what he wanted to make it about, bro. Right? And the delusional part will come about later. But this dude is confused, man. Like he really doesn't. Like, as we'll see, I'm just kind of laying this out there now, and you'll see why this makes sense in a little while. But he attempts to make the debate about something that is not about, right? And he just expects the viewer to go along with it, right? And as we'll see, as my second point there, this makes more sense a little bit. But upon a closer inspection, really, what Shakka's putting on the table amounts to, actually, you can single out a number of different fallacies. I'm saying, but I'm just going to kind of highlight three, and then we'll go from there. All right, but I guess I'll get to the next timestamp. Is that where we're going, or do you have a slide?
No, timestamp.
Okay, cool. All right, give me a second to get there. All right, what's our next timestamp? Okay, yeah, all right. How y'all feeling in the chat, man? It's man, I tell you, I don't know what it is. I don't know what's gotten into us, man. Like, it's spicy in here today, man. We
waited a long time for this. That's what happened. We waited a long time for this. That's what happened.
Right.
That's what happened.
That's
Put the gloves on. Put the gloves on. Put the gloves on, fam. That's all.
I got the spirit of MJ Jackson on me, bro.
Oh man.
It's that MJ Jackson spirit.
That spicy spirit. That spicy, messy spirit.
Right. Well, you just ready to just go in for no reason. You just out there. The Southern Assassin. That's what I call it, man. The Southern Assassin in the building. Oh man. All right, here we go. All right, so
Indelible Sin said, I don't understand how that guy they're talking about functions. Yeah, well,
I don't know, man. We have all kind of motivations, man.
Yeah.
Here we go.
But what I didn't say, at least I don't think I did, is that he didn't lose the debate to Jabari. He didn't. He lost the debate to this guy. To someone who was a personal friend of mine, who I had no idea was even going to be at the debate. I was nowhere near this debate. This debate is in Philadelphia. I was in Florida when this debate was going on. I haven't spoken to this brother in about maybe 4 years, 3 or 4 years. But I was surprised to see him during the question and answer period of the debate, where he asked Vincent Bantu, PhD, a question. And the question that he asked him was really what the whole thing is really all about. It doesn't matter which debate you're talking about, as long as it pertains to Christianity, number one, and Christianity in the minds of Black Christians. And I want you to check out the question that he asked Vincent Bantu. And I typed out the entire exchange between them, word for word. Word for word. I left out not one word, so that you could hear the question, and then I'm going to let you hear the response. And you will see immediately why Vincent Bantu lost the debate. Now, my thing is, how do you go through a whole debate way out in front, defeating your opponent, and then make it to the question and answer period, and then lose the debate? I've never seen that before. That should go to those of you who are trying to learn. That's why I said earlier, a debate is not just you and the person across from you on the stage. The debate, like I said, is the moderator. I also had a problem with the fact that they had Eric Mason as the moderator. You're supposed to have somebody neutral, okay? They should have had a Muslim there or a Jewish person, somebody, I don't know, But, or an agnostic or an atheist even, or maybe not the atheist, I don't know. The agnostic probably would have been a better one. But in any event, this is the question that my brother, this brother, I've actually hung out with this brother. We've gone out to nightclubs, to lounges, bar lounges. We've just hung out on the street and just kicking it. So I know this brother. In any event, this is the question that he asked Dr. Bantu. He said, this question is for Dr. Bantu. I believe that you believe what you're saying is true. But one of the things that we have to do as a people is do our own research. In the spirit of being a scholar, if you are imparted with some new information, will you have the courage to go the opposite direction? Or will you still remain and be wrong and strong? If you're imparted, and he repeated it, if you're imparted with some new information, what will you do? That was the question he asked Bantu. Now, before I show you Bantu's answer, I want all of you to hold on to your seat, because I never thought personally that I would hear in my lifetime a scholar, somebody with a PhD, somebody responsible for the minds of other people with respect to teaching them and guiding them, counseling them. I never thought I would hear these words come out of the mouth of someone purporting to be a scholar. But you're going to hear it in Vincent Bantu, PhD's response. In fact, after I heard Vincent say what he said, I can't even call him doctor anymore. I just don't. I'm accustomed to using that term to people who have a certain stature in my eyes. This is the truth of the matter, okay? Preferably with a PhD or an MD, but so let's look at Dr. Bantu's response to this salient.
Wait. I'm sorry. I know he was trying to get somewhere, but it's
taking a minute.
He said that he's accustomed to calling people doctor who are like, scholars in his eyes, preferably a PhD or MD.
Isn't that a doctor?
Dr. Bantu.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Ms. Bantu has a PhD, bro.
That's what we call him. That's why we call him doctor. It's not like in the conscious community, anybody could get that doctor thrown in their name. In this side, you actually have to have a degree.
Right. So check this out though, because he says he's not trying to call him doctor, but throughout the video, even after he calls him Vince Bantu PhD, the initials PhD stand for Doctorate of Philosophy. Doctor of Philosophy. That's what it stands for.
Yeah, I don't think he knew that. I don't think he knew that.
That's what I'm saying. Every time you call him, PhD, Vincent Bantu PhD, you're referring to him as doctor. But now you saying, I don't think you realize that. And then, like I said, he said, "Well, I'm used to, I'm accustomed to calling that people who are PhD or maybe an MD." I mean, but fam, like Vince Bantu has a PhD, bro, and you call him that throughout the video. So you're just contradicting yourself. That just occurred to me just now. But I think he's about to get to the point. You already heard the question. I think he's about to play.
Yeah.
I know it's a long clip, y'all. I apologize, but I didn't want to cut him off because lest we be accused of seeing people out of context.
Right.
And Jermaine question. I gotta read this question again, just so you can see how important it is. He asked him. This question is for Dr. Bantu. I believe that you believe what you're saying is true. But one of the things that we have to do as the people is do our own research. Sounds pretty responsible, doesn't it, people? Then he continued. He said, in the spirit of being a scholar, if you're imparted with some new information, will you have the courage to go the opposite direction? Or will you still remain and be wrong and strong? If you're imparted with some new information, what will you do? That's a very fair question. Not only is it fair, it is the most important question that's at the heart of this whole thing. Now, if you knew who this brother was, you would understand why he was able to ask such a salient question. I personally feel he did it on my behalf. How can you not? So when I see him, bro, eternal embrace to you, brother, for asking that question. So this is Dr. Bantu's answer. Can I get
Thank you?
Y'all ready? This is what Vince Bantu said. He said, that's a great question. For me, my faith in Christ is exactly that. It's faith. And so it's not built primarily on information or like history. And so that's so to answer your question, it depends on what it is. There are some things I'm totally willing to kind of change my mind about. And like, I have different views about baptism or about the millennium or about communion or all these different topics, political things that I'm completely willing to change my mind about. Are you ready? This is what he said next. But there is no information on the face of this planet. I'm going to read that again. He said, but there is no information on the face of this planet that would ever make me change my mind that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior.
Yes. This question is for Dr. Bantu. I believe that you believe what you're saying is true. But one of the things that we have to do as a people is do our own research. In the spirit of being a scholar, if you're imparted with some new information, will you have the courage to go the opposite direction, or will you still remain and be warm and strong? Is if you impart some new information, what will you do?
That's a great question. For me, my faith in Christ is exactly that, it's faith. And so it's not built primarily on information or on history. And so so to answer your question, it depends on what it is. There are some things that I'm totally willing to, kind of change my mind about. And I have different views about baptism or about the millennium or about communion or all these different topics, political things that I'm completely willing to change my mind on. But there is no information on the face of this planet that would ever make me change my mind that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior.
And with that, Vincent Bantu lost the debate. And there you go, your brother below. Vince, you got by a question. Straight up. You got knocked by a question. So see, we're going to have to break this down now because people are going, how did he lose?
All right, you can stop it there.
If you don't know why that...
Okay.
that was the longest build up to what we're about to see is a fallacious point I've ever seen in my life. But let's go ahead.
Yeah. But again, he's still like, well, that's not what it's supposed to be. And that's not what the debate. Again, put the gloves on. Don't complain about what it should have been, could have been. Put the gloves on, and it could be whatever you want it to be. Just put the gloves on. But anyway, so let's look at this question. All right, if you can share my screen.
All right.
So this is just a blow up of his screen, right? Oh, also, this thing about I wrote this myself. You can get the transcript off the YouTube video, right?
Yeah, actually, I did that as I was preparing.
You didn't have to write nothing. You could just use the transcript on the YouTube. But anyway,
he was really excited about that too. Like,
he thought he scored. He scored mad points because he actually was able to take dictation. So, this question is for Dr. Bantu. I believe that you believe what you're saying is true. Let me stop there.
Okay.
Remember what this series is all about? Lies that Christian apologists tell. His friend is telling this Christian apologist that I believe you're not lying.
That's what he said.
This whole series, again, is about how we are liars. And the guy that you want to focus on says, and we was there. Me and Adam was in the audience.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
We was there, and he said, I believe you're not a liar. Right? But let's go on. I believe what you're saying is true, but one of the things that we have to do as a people is do our own research. We'll get to that in a minute. Actually, no. Let me get into that now, right?
Hey, go for it, yeah.
We got to do our own research, right? Okay. Yeah, so I try to make it even bigger here. It's kind of blurry. So I believe that what you believe is saying is true, but one of the things that we have to do as a people is do our own research. inferring that Dr. Bantu has not done his own research, right? Okay, so I got this from a university. I forgot the name, but the university tells you the doctorate process, how one becomes a doctor, right? And it says here what to expect throughout your doctorate program. The beginning of your doctoral study will focus on your field of study. You'll expand your knowledge in scholarly writing, improve your research skills, and enhance your understanding of your specialization of choice. Of course, you'll also be preparing for your ultimate accomplishment as a doctoral student during this time, your dissertation. The final few years of doctoral study will be focused on the preparation of your doctoral dissertation or thesis. Your doctoral dissertation is a written document focused on research interests you choose and spent your time developing through academic research. In the first portion of your doctoral program, depending on your degree program of choice, PhD or professional doctorate, you may focus your dissertation on newly developed theory or practical application of research you conducted. You should be prepared to orally defend your dissertation to your committee in a semi-public forum. You should not be intimidated. Take this opportunity to passionately defend your research and findings and use this as a springboard to your next personal, professional, or educational triumph. Once you successfully defend your dissertation, you'll be awarded with your doctoral degree and can add that coveted doctor to your title. In order to be a doctor in any special field, you literally have to do your own research.
Right.
You literally have to do it. So for Shakka's friend to just make this assumption that he hasn't,
right?
It's ridiculous. That's how you get to be a doctor. You have to do your own research.
Right.
All right. So
like there's probably literally there was hardly nobody in that room that day who had done more of their own research than Ms. Bantu. And then
the thing is,
Eric Mason has a doctorate as well. So
right. Yeah. And the thing is, he hasn't stopped doing his own research after he's gotten that coveted title doctor. Here's a Facebook post of his, July 15th. Today, I finished the first draft of translations of all of the Ethiopian texts to be included in the reader of early African and Asian Christian texts. Now on to the Coptic. I'm so excited for these African and Asian theological texts to become more available. The man is actually doing his own translations.
Yeah.
He's doing his research. Here's another one. Today in my weekly Nubian lesson, I learned how to say the word God, Tili. I feel empowered simply in being able to address the creator of the universe using the same name as do the people who speak the oldest sub-Saharan African language in the world. He's doing his own research. How many people do you know is translating ancient Coptic and Nubian texts for us, for our benefit?
Right.
But we should do our own research. Ridiculous. Okay.
No, actually, what we should do is just totally ignore everything that this guy has, that Vince Bantu has to say, and we should listen to Shakka Ahmose. That's what we should do.
Right, because he has a PhD. Oh no, he doesn't. He doesn't have a PhD.
Right. That's what we need to do.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. And then he goes on and says, in the spirit of being a scholar, which is, it's a low-key shot at Bantu because he's saying, for a change, can you be scholarly? For a change, right? So it's cool. That's cool though. That's cool.
Right.
If you're imparted with some new information, will you have the courage to go the opposite direction, or will you still remain and be wrong and strong? If you're imparted with some new information, what will you do? The guy asking this question assumes that the new information is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you receive new information, it doesn't mean that it's correct. It's just new. You just haven't. All that means is that you haven't heard of this information until that moment.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't equate it to be correct information, but he does, because then he says, will you have the courage to go the opposite direction, or will you remain wrong and strong? So you're also assuming that Bantu is already wrong, right? So, and you're basically you're actually what's the word? You're begging the question.
Oh, begging the question. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
You're begging the question because you already assume that Bantu is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what. So you're already fallacious in this question that you're giving to Dr. Bantu. You're being fallacious, and you're low key throwing shots as well, right? So just want to put it out there.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
You want to say anything before we talk about Bantu's response?
Yeah, I want to say something real quick because so given that apparently Bantu is just totally unqualified, somebody should be alerting these colleges that he's teaching for.
The fraud that's being committed right now.
You know what I'm saying? His book, Multitude of All Peoples. Let me hip y'all to something right quick. Okay. Now, there's no disrespect to small publishers or anything like that, but publishers matter, if you will. Right? If you're going to put out something academic, there are certain publishers that bear academic weight more so than others. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think that Bantu put out his with IVP, University Press.
Yeah.
Right. That's not Billy Bob's, printing press. I'm saying that's not, just some random. That's not like some dude down the street who just print up a bunch of copies of your book. I'm saying that's a legitimate publisher.
His book has an ISBN number.
Right.
As a barcode.
Yeah, he didn't send it off to some dude down the street. He's not on one. There's no disrespect to anybody. He's not on 125th. I'm saying peddling his books. That's the only way that he can get his. There's a reason why a publisher, an established publisher, has paid this man to write these works, and have contracted with him to do further works, right? Because the project you're talking about with him translating these different works, that's not even out yet. That's something that's still in development. Right. I'm saying, and his previous work has put him in position. He's got the credentials and the knowledge base such that he can be called upon as a specialist, right, to translate these other works and put out this other project, right? So this is not like, so to me, it's hilarious that you have an individual who doesn't have the credentials. And look, I'm not making fun of anybody who doesn't have credentials. Like you can be knowledgeable without a degree. I'm not saying that you can't, right? It's just that you gotta pump the brakes when you're gonna be super critical of other people. Like you can't be big-headed, if you will, and then try to downplay somebody else's education. you know what I mean? Just because they say something that you don't like or you feel is mistaken or erroneous. But yeah, I just want to say that right there. Shout out. Great. Just say this very quick. Shout out to Benjamin Handelman, my man Quentin Shiny Miller, Michelle Turner, I think Jacob Brown, anybody who's been giving these super chats, man. I really appreciate that, y'all. Thank you. We going in and we taking our time with this one. We have to spill over into the next show for sure. But we'll probably do some Q&A here in a little while. But we're gonna get through some more slides, and then we taking our time. And I'm gonna clarify. I'm just say out front. I'm just gonna be completely up front in terms of why we're taking our time with this. Okay, most of the time it's because we're just long-winded. But in this particular case, it really is. It's like, I remember back in the day, my dad, God rest his soul, he used to teach martial arts, right? We learned Kenpo karate. He taught Kenpo karate. And one thing that he would teach was that, if somebody's going to throw a kick or a punch, when you block it, you make that block hurt. I'm saying you block it in such a way with such force that it stings a little bit. So the next time they want to throw that kick, they're going to think twice, right? That's what this is. You know what I'm saying? I want everybody to know that this is like when you take shots, in a disrespectful way, particularly, what I'm saying, at the urban apologetics community, it's going to cost you. That's what this is.
Yeah, all right, we sweep the leg around here. This is Cobra Kai apologetics.
It's Cobra Kai, right? Russo. It's not Russo. This is Cobra Kai, baby.
We sweep the leg over here.
I think he actually said that, I think he said that in his video. No mercy. I'm with you on that. I agree.
Yeah, right back at you.
That's what this is. It's all ideological. I don't mean him any malice. Let me clarify.
No, we're having fun. It's all jokes.
If I saw this man on the street, it's no animosity. You know what I'm saying?
But put the gloves on though.
Put the gloves on, and in Jesus' name, I love you. I hope you come to Christ. You know what I'm saying? But in the meantime, you got to get this work. That's what this is.
Pretty much. So let's look at Bantu's response. Right? He says that's a great question. For me, my faith in Christ is exactly that. It's faith, and so it's not built primarily on information or like history. And so that's to answer your question, it depends on what it is. There are some things I'm totally willing to, kind of change my mind about, like, I have different views about baptism or about the millennium or about communion or all these different topics, political things that I'm completely willing to change my mind about. But there is no information on the face of this planet that would ever make me change my mind that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. Now, what Bantu is doing is that he's explaining two different forms of knowledge, right? Because first he starts off, millenniums and baptisms and other stuff, but then he talks about Jesus being his personal Lord and Savior, right? So that's two forms of knowledge he's actually talking about. He's talking about experiential knowledge, is knowledge gained through experience as opposed to a priori, before experience knowledge. It could be contrasted with propositional or textbook knowledge and with practical knowledge. This is from Philip Bernard, Counseling Skills for Health Professionals. Another way to look at it is knowledge by acquaintance is a unique form of knowledge where the subject has direct, unmediated, and non-inferential access to what is known, whereas knowledge by description is a type of knowledge that is indirect, mediated, and inferential. So what Bantu's doing in a nuanced fashion to answer this person's question when it comes to information, and he says it, well, it depends on the information. Is this knowledge by acquaintance or knowledge by description? So let me give you an example. Let's say, I tell Adam, I think Nas is the best lyricist of all time. And I pretty much do believe that, right? Jay-Z's dope too, but my favorite is Nas.
You think
so
Nas?
Say,
okay, all right.
Yeah. You, I guess you disagree, Adam?
Oh,
don't say Eric Sermon, because you'll change the whole temperature of this video if you say Eric Sermon.
Right. Some ad hominems or something. I feel like the hot sauce with that. No, I think he's in the conversation. Okay.
So, but let's say Adam brings me a list of all the ghostwriters that have written for Nas since Illmatic, right? There's new information. I vetted. Okay, now I have to pivot based on this new information, that he's given me, this descriptive information. But let's say Adam comes and gives me information about my wife. That's different because I have experimental knowledge with my wife, and Adam doesn't, and he better not. All right, I have intimate knowledge.
No experiential knowledge. Yeah.
I have special intimate knowledge of my wife.
Right.
We've been married for 15 years, and we've been friends for at least 20 some odd years.
Hey, that's awesome.
You know what I mean? And, we sleep in the same bed. We live in the same place. We pay bills. We live life together for quite some time.
Right.
His descriptive knowledge is not going to hold a lot of weight with me because of my experimental knowledge, my knowledge of acquaintance. It's not the same. And that's what Bantu is basically telling this person. It's like, it depends on the information. If it's knowledge of description, okay. But if you're going against my knowledge of acquaintance, that's different. And Bantu is being very consistent with scripture, because in Romans 8:31-39 says, what then shall we say in response to these things? If God is for us, who could be against us? He who did not spare his own son, but gave up for us all, how will he not also, along with him, graciously give us all things? Who will bring any charge against those whom God has chosen? It is God who justifies. Who then is the one who condemns? No one. Christ Jesus, who died, more than that, who was raised to life, is at the right hand of God and is also interceding for us. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall trouble or hardship or persecution or famine or nakedness or danger or sword? As it is written, for your sake we face death all day long. We are considered as sheep to be slaughtered. No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus. Why did these apostles die? Why would these first believers, allow themselves to be massacred? Was it because of just knowledge, regular descriptive knowledge, or was it knowledge of acquaintance? Why is Paul being jailed, whipped on multiple occasions, shipwrecked, and finally executed in Rome? Why did he do that? Was it just because of descriptive knowledge, or was it because he was acquainted with Jesus Christ?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Bantu is saying. He's like, I'm acquainted. This is not just head knowledge. I've experienced the redemption and salvation that comes in receiving the gift of grace. I've experienced that. And nothing you can give me information-wise is going to topple that experience. So he's not saying he doesn't take in information. I mean, he's Dr. Vince Bantu. He knows how to, he literally does his own research. He has no problem finding new information and pivoting when that new information might contradict old information. That's what doctors do. But when it comes to his acquaintance with the Son of God, the other knowledge doesn't hold any water. So it's not that he refuses new knowledge. It's that it doesn't hold weight to that experimental knowledge, that knowledge of being acquainted with the Son of God.
That's good, man. That's good. Now, and I want to add on some later. I mean, that'll preach right there, brother. I'm saying right from the scriptures, man. I'm with that. Now, I want to pivot a little bit from a philosophical standpoint, because when we're talking about knowledge, we're talking about the realm of philosophy called epistemology. Okay, that's what we're talking about. It's that branch of philosophy that pretty much answers the question of what is knowledge, and how do we know what we know? I'm saying, what is knowledge and how do we obtain it, right? So you're right. There are actually different forms of knowledge. There's at least three, and then depending on what philosophy you're dealing with, they'll divide it up even to more subdivisions, right? But there's at least three forms of knowledge. You're dealing with experiential knowledge, like you spoke about. You're dealing with procedural knowledge. Okay, that's kind of know-how kind of knowledge. Like I know how to ride a bike, something like that. It's kind of how to do something. But that's procedural knowledge, procedure. And then you have, like you said, propositional knowledge. That's kind of just like facts. Whether or not something is true, and information. Book knowledge. That sort of a thing, right? Now, when you're dealing with different forms of knowledge, right? Bantu is expressing a level of certainty. Okay, but what kind of certainty is he talking about? He's not talking about propositional certainty. That's not what he's dealing with. Okay, because propositional certainty would be something like, I am certain that today is Tuesday, right? I'm certain about that. That's the proposition, today is Tuesday. That's something that I'm certain about. I'm sure that's the case, right? Something like procedural certainty. That would be something like when I shoot a basketball, I'm certain that if I point my elbow at the rim, I make sure that my my wrist is pointed at my fingers are pointed at the rim. When I release at the top of the jumper, at the top of my jump. Things like that. If I'm certain that if I follow these mechanics to a jump shot, then I will increase my percentage of accuracy as a jump shooter. Okay, I'm certain that in terms from a know-how standpoint, I'm certain that that's the case. That's procedural certainty, if you will. Okay, but Bantu is talking about experiential certainty. And that's what you're getting at, right? Now, experiential certainty is a different kind of certainty. It's a form of knowledge, right? And it's a type of certainty that's not going to be necessarily undermined by just some sort of new information. Because like you said, new information could be erroneous. It could be true or false. Just information is information. I can inform you that today is Wednesday right now. Where we're at, that's not accurate. That's information, but it's not true information. It's not. Right. It's not. It didn't speak to what is real or what is true about the world. MJ Jackson pointed out you can have psychological certainty or moral certainty. Okay, I'm certain that it is wrong to torture children for no good reason at all, for your own entertainment. I'm certain that that's the case. I don't need anybody to argue for that. I don't need anybody to explain that to me. Just
it's properly basic.
It's
properly basic.
There we go. That's where I'm going next. Exactly. Psychological certainty. I'm saying psychological certainty could be, look, I personally am convinced that something is the case. Now, I might be wrong, but in terms of my own mental states, I'm convinced that such and such is the case. There's all kinds of certainty. Bantu is specifically talking about experiential certainty. How do we know that? Well, he tells you, because he says, he talks about elsewhere, I want to say in this video, how God, and actually Shakka quotes him, how God helped him out as a teenager, and then, basically allowed for him to go to school and do this, that, and the third. And so he's convinced that Jesus is Lord and Savior. That's the space that Jesus occupies in his life. It's his Lord and Savior. Okay. That's what he's dealing with. Now, so now that we've kind of, hammered that out, the brother's question in regard to propositional knowledge is, in a sense, if you understand how what's his name, Bantu nuanced it out, it's a separate question. You know what I'm saying? It's a separate question. Now, I'll kind of come back to that in a second, I think. Let me share my screen right quick. Is there something else that you want to say about that?
No, yeah.
Okay, cool. So use the term that I'm going to get to right now. Now, I'm going to try not to, I'm going to give you all the shortened version.
No.
But,
you know what that means, right, guys?
Y'all know how it is. I don't even know why I said that. But let me go to my, okay. So you mentioned properly basic beliefs, and that's exactly right. Okay. All right. Ooh, there we go. Okay, so properly basic beliefs. Oh, I messed up. I should have shared that. I should have put it on slideshow. My fault, y'all. My bad.
It's all good.
I meant to put it on slideshow. Okay. Again, we're talking epistemology. Okay. Now, what we're discussing here, this has nothing directly to do or exclusively to do with Christianity. We're just talking philosophy right now. Then anybody can do the research, and I'm going to give you a reference, a source here in a second as I kind of work through these ideas. Something you can research on your own. But all these concepts, this is what philosophers talk about. Like, this is not something that a bunch of theologians sat around and thought up. These are philosophical concepts that any secular, I don't care if you're atheist, whatever you are, Buddhist, whatever. I'm saying this is what they deal with. This is epistemology 101. Okay, a properly basic belief. There's different ways we can describe it, but give us a functional definition. A properly basic belief is a belief that is justifiably held, but not on the basis of other beliefs, i.e., as discovered by evidence, inference, or argumentation. By inference, I mean something like, based upon this idea, then some other idea, is true or something like that. Okay. So a properly basic belief is a belief that is justifiably held, but not on the basis of other beliefs, i.e. is discovered by, evidence, inference, or argumentation. Now, why is this important? Okay. I'll get back to it. So why is this important? Okay. Let me give some examples of properly basic belief. So if I asked you, Alfredo, if I said to you that, all of reality, the whole universe was created 5 minutes ago with the appearance of age, right? How could you go about debunking that? What are the kinds of things that you would have to do to debunk that? What objections to that might you have? I'm putting you on the spot. My bad, man.
No, it's okay. Say it again. If it's 5 minutes.
If I said to you, or put it this way, if I said to you, all of reality, you included, was created 5 minutes ago with the appearance of age, including your memories and everything. I'm saying, what would be just give me like one or two objections to that. What do you think might be objection?
Because I believe, based on chronology, I've been here for a certain amount of years. Like I'm older than 5 minutes. So let's take it as an example. Watch this. Now look how you referred to yourself. Now, but here's the thing: if the universe was created 5 minutes ago with the appearance of age, including you and your memories, then pointing to yourself and your age wouldn't refute you see what I'm saying? Now here's the point. The point is you can't argue against something like that without making a circular argument. In order to say that to give reasons as to why I'm wrong about the universe being created 5 minutes ago with the appearance of age, including your memories, the food that you ate 10 minutes ago or whatever, you had to point to something, that basically makes your argument circular. You had to point to something like that exists, or yourself, your age, or whatever. Right. But nevertheless, you're rational for recognizing that you didn't just pop into existence 5 minutes ago, right? Any person is rational for that. Now, you don't come to that rational conclusion on the basis of argument, because any argument you give would be circular. Yet,
I couldn't say, well, no, that's stupid. You're not rational for holding that belief. No, why? Because it's properly basic. The word right, properly, it's rightly basic. It's appropriate to hold that belief. You know what I'm saying? Put it this way, think about a house, okay? A house, you're going to have like your roof, you're going to have your bricks, you're going to have your walls and all that kind of stuff. And then you're going to have like the foundation, okay? Right. Properly basic beliefs are like the foundational cinder blocks of that all of our other beliefs are built upon. You can put it that way. They're like the very nitty gritty of what we affirm or what we believe. I'm saying, like, there's no, you don't appeal to them on the basis of anything else. They're at the rock bottom of the house, which by analogy is like all the whole set of what we believe. Okay. Now, another type of properly basic belief would be something like 2 + 2 is 4, right?
It's funny you should use math. We'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, I'll leave that point alone. But I mean, there's certain, like, if you know what the number 2, if you know what it means for what the number 2 means and the number 4 means and the plus sign, if you know what those things means, then it's self-evident that that it equals 4. You know what I'm saying? I'll give one last one. If somebody punches me in the arm and I have the sensation that I'm in pain, right? I don't need anybody to explain to me or I don't need argumentation for that. I have is immediate awareness, right? I'm conscious of my own mental states, right?
Right.
The fact that I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying? If I say I am thinking, that's a properly basic belief. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to argue with anything. I'm giving a variety of examples for a reason. Okay? Now, what we're going to get to in a second is that there's at least one system, in philosophy that allows for the notion of basically the belief in God to be a properly basic belief, right? And again, but let me backtrack for a second. Experiential knowledge, right? I'm saying you can have experiential knowledge. Like I know that my wife is, or I say this, I know that my mom is my mom, right? She walks in here right now. I don't have to make an argument and say, you know what? I think that's my mom. You know what I'm saying? Like I know immediate. I have this immediate awareness, right? Our intuition and so forth. There are some beliefs that we don't hold on the basis of arguments or evidence or inferences. That's the bottom line. Now, that's the first step. Okay. So I'm just giving you some common examples of things that we experience all the time, beliefs that we experience all the time that we're rational for holding. And we hold these things not on the basis of evidence, inference, or argumentation. Now I'm going to take the next step. And I'm going to say, okay, that the belief in God can be one of those kinds of beliefs. It can be a properly basic belief. Before I get there, I don't want to take too long, but I know my audience. I'm saying I know that once just using that term belief, right? You have some in the conscious community like, no, we don't deal with beliefs, brother. We deal with knowledge. You got to know. I mean, I already know that somebody watching the video is going to go there. Okay, so I'm going to define belief, and I just want to correct people's misunderstanding about it. For somebody who may be having that knee-jerk reaction, I'll be quick about it. But first of all, when I'm talking about belief, I'm talking about a person's view of how things really are. I think I missed a word there. A person's view of how things really are that is accepted to various degrees of strength, say between 51% and 100%. Like you believe something is the case, right? It's a view that you have, and beliefs can be in various degrees. I believe that if I get in shape, I could dunk a basketball. Probably about 51%. I mean, maybe I can't. I might be too old for that now. But at the same time, I also believe that I'm sitting in this chair. I've got I just believe that I'm sitting in this chair, or that if I got some, ice cream in the fridge, I believe that that's the case. That might be about 80%, right? So there's various degrees of beliefs. Now, beliefs, while people in the conscious community have this tendency to try to downplay belief, okay? Like, oh, it's just your beliefs or something like that. Actually, in terms of its classical definition, even currently, beliefs are a component of knowledge. A belief is a component of knowledge. Let me go to my next screen. Okay. All right. Okay. So classically, okay, when you look at the philosophical literature, okay, again, and we're dealing with epistemology, what knowledge is and how do we know things. All right. A classic definition, if you will, or formula for knowledge is what we call justified true beliefs. I'm saying, like, back in the day, if you say you have justified true belief, then that would equate to the knowledge, right? Now, what happened was there's a philosopher, a guy by the name of Gettier. I think his first name is Edwin, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but I know his last name was Gettier. Okay, and he comes along and he writes this paper to show that actually justified true belief isn't enough to consider someone to have knowledge. There's some examples that he gave to say, actually justified true belief is an insufficient standard for saying that you have knowledge. Okay, and then from then point on, it just through a whole monkey wrench and a whole project of epistemology. And with the concept that folks wanted to add is, okay, well, you know what? You can't just have justified true belief. You also have to have this other facet called warrant. Okay, so now, a popular formulation would be to say that if you have a justified true belief plus warrant, then you've got knowledge. Okay, so you got that. That's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich over there to the right hand side. You know what I'm saying? And that's supposed to be my knowledge sandwich, right? I told you I was going to have some arguments from sandwiches one day, man. I'm almost there. I'm trying to arguments from sandwiches for God's existence or something like that. So our knowledge sandwich, you got justified, truth, belief, and warrant. I'm saying you put those things together. Okay, now you have knowledge, right? Now let me just quickly define them. Justified is very sloppy and quick, but basically that someone has fulfilled their epistemic duties or values. I know it sounds super vague, but basically you've done your due diligence to come to right conclusions. That's one way to look at it, to be justified. True, I'm referring to what's called the correspondence theory of truth. Okay, so it's basically truth as in that which corresponds to reality. That's what we're talking about with truth. Like something has to be true. You can't know something that's false. You may believe it, but if it's not true, then you can't really say that you know it. And then belief, I described it a second ago, is that you had to believe something in order to say that you know it. You can't know something that you don't believe, right? So basically, belief is a part of that knowledge sandwich. And then we add in warrant, which is that additional element that kind of takes you from justified true belief to really having knowledge. Now, philosophers debate on what is the right way to understand warrant. They're going to say that there's different approaches, that you can go to, that you can basically undertake to say that you've got warrant. One is called proper functionalism, which is going to kind of go into, I'm not going to get into all of that, but basically that your faculties are functioning properly, right? That's one way to look at warrant. But anyway, there's different accounts of warrant. We're not going to get into all that. But my whole point is, in bringing this slide out, is really for my naysayers who have an issue with belief. Say, oh, well, you just believe. You use the word belief, and they just like, they got that knee-jerk reaction. Belief is a component, is an essential component to knowledge. That's classically defined by philosophy in the field of epistemology. All right, I'm about to bring it home in a second. Is there anything you want to say first, or?
Nah, yeah, go ahead, bro.
Okay, cool. All right. See, MJ Jackson trying to stir stuff up. You bring in the internalism, externalism debate. There we go. That's a philosophy head right there. Okay, now, so we know that there are properly basic beliefs that we subscribe to all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like I know that for example, that I'm thinking right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that I feel calm. I've got that awareness. You know what I'm saying? It's a properly basic belief, if you will. I have this intuitional knowledge that stealing is wrong. You know what I'm saying? On the deepest intuitional level, I can affirm that's the case. Those moral facts, properly basic beliefs, right? So can belief in God be properly basic? Okay. In other words, can a belief in God be justifiably held without inferences, argumentations, or evidence? All right. Now I'm going to put at least one theory on the books or on the plate and say that there's one system of philosophy that says yes. People can disagree, but that's not gonna be my point. I'm gonna kind of wrap that up in a second. So on the right hand side, hopefully you can see it. There's a book called Knowledge and Christian Belief by Alvin Plantinga. I'm saying he's one of the guys, or he's the guy really, who's most famously put what's called reformed epistemology on the table. Now, reformed epistemology, you don't have to be reformed in terms of your soteriology or so forth to subscribe to this particular system called reformed epistemology. He just called it that because some of the writers that he drew upon to develop it are reformed. So he just kind of, for the namesake, he did that. So anybody of any theological tradition within Christianity can, reformed epistemology would be accessible to you, compatible with where you're coming from, that I'm aware of. Maybe exception of like a open theist or something like that, but that's a whole nother thing. Anyway, so, in reformed epistemology is this notion that in the same way that you can have this properly basic belief, right, on the basis, that's a form of experience that comes in the form of experiential knowledge, right, you can know God in that way. And that's what you're referring to when you brought out that scripture. You know what I'm saying? That the disciples, they had this experiential knowledge of Jesus, really, but then also, the Holy Spirit and so forth. If you want to go back to the Old Testament, in what way did Abraham know God? I'm saying he had this direct encounter. You know what I'm saying? He has this direct knowledge, this experiential knowledge, right? It was so strong that, when it comes to, he's asked to sacrifice Isaac, later on down the road, right? He was confident, right? Not only about, the existence of God, but also God's character, which I think is very interesting. I'm saying he has this properly basic belief, this experiential knowledge of God that gives him a platform for his confidence in God's character, such that he's willing to risk his life and the life of his kids on it, because he knows God's character. He knows God's not going to do him dirty, right? Now, so my whole point is with Reformed epistemology, it's, basically forwards this idea that you can have knowledge of God, right, that is rationally held, but not on the basis of inference, evidence, or argumentation. And one of the concepts that Planning will put on the table, and he draws this from Calvin, is this notion of the sensus divinitatis, a sense of the divine. Okay, and it's this notion that there's they postulate that there's this faculty that we have, right, that all people have, that allows for them to detect, divinity, if you will, to know that, there's something more than the physical realm here. There's an agency. There's a deity, right?
God puts eternity in the hearts of men.
There we go.
Man can't comprehend. So
very consistent with Romans 1, right? When you're dealing with general revelation, you can know that God is, and He has a moral nature, and so on and so forth. That's all that sense of divinitatis. Or if you're out and about and you on a starry night and you just find yourself with this awe and just this direct awareness that there's something more, right? That could be a means by which the sensus divinitatis is activated or made apparent to you. You have this immediate awareness. But then also, Flanagan would throw in, actually, in his extended model of Reformed epistemology, is there's no, he posits that the Holy Spirit, I'm saying, if it really is the case that the Holy Spirit is pursuing people and wooing them to Himself, right? Directly engaging people in such a way to draw them to the Father, right? If that's the case, then again, you can, there's reason to believe, there's reason to affirm that this experiential knowledge, okay, of God is very real. You know what I'm saying? And as Calvin would put it, is that as Planning would put it, it's not to say that the Holy Spirit is necessarily giving us this infallible knowledge of like every jot and tittle of the Scripture, but in terms of, he calls the cardinal truths of Christianity, that God exists, that there's, God has a moral nature, that man will be judged, and so on and so forth, and that we need a savior. The savior is Jesus Christ, and need to be indwelt by the Holy Spirit. Like kind of those primary foundational doctrines. I'm saying those are the kinds of things that the Holy Spirit would be making known to people, so that they can have confidence in Christianity. So, if these things are the case, if there is this sense of divinitatis, if it is the case that the Holy Spirit is actively, engaging people, drawing them to Him, then is very much so that you can, having experienced those things, you can have this experiential, properly basic knowledge of God, right? That you can justifiably hold without having to appeal to some sort of, evidence or inference or argumentation. And yet you're justified and warranted for holding a belief on that basis. You see what I'm saying? Now, I said that to say, with Vance Banter, he says, look, there's nothing, there is no information, right? Now, mind you, again, I don't want to, put words in his mouth, but we got to be careful how we interpret that too, because he's not saying that I am of the mental state that I will never change my mind. He's saying that there is no information, right? That's a very important point. He's not just saying like, I'm just going to be, dogmatic about it. The information, the kind of information that the brother who asked the question about, that kind of information does not exist. He's making the affirmative statement that it doesn't exist. Why? Because, and he's appealing to this, this experiential, properly basic knowledge, right? He knows God directly. You know what I'm saying? Now, if Reformed epistemology is valid, and mind you, this is granted, it's hotly debated. I'm not saying that just every atheist in the world is on board or something like that. But this is not like cheap. This is not cheap philosophy. Like this, like
right.
epistemology is a well-respected perspective as to how somebody can know things about God and his character and so on and so forth. Like, it's not like Alvin Plantinga is not like a dummy. Like, he's well.
No, he's top tier when it comes to just philosophy. Period. Not Christian philosophy, but just philosophy.
That's my point. He had this intellectually credible system. You know what I'm saying? Philosophical system that undergirds the statement that Vince Bantu made. You know what I'm saying? This intellectually credible system, you know what I'm saying, in terms of what it means to know God and the kind of knowledge that we have, is like kind of basically what Bantu said is more philosophically sophisticated than Shakka Ahmose understands. You know,
and my only critique of Bantu is that, well, maybe he assumed the audience would understand, but he didn't articulate it in that manner.
Sure, that's
right. I mean, he didn't explain exactly what he was doing. He just assumed that, I guess, the person asking the question would understand that. That'd be my only critique of Bantu when it comes to that. So, yeah. But bro, it's 2 hours and 25 minutes in. So,
okay, all right, cool. I'm gonna wrap this up. Yeah, I promise. Yeah. This is all first verse, by the way, y'all. But so anyway, reformed epistemology framework provides a rational foundation for Bantu's claim about an unwavering commitment to Jesus as Lord and Savior. Now, let me make this real quick. Let's just say, for sake of argument, that you think that reformed epistemology is garbage. You know what I'm saying? Let's just say that, right? Y'all see what I did there?
Yeah, I saw that.
Shakka reaching.
He's reaching.
He's reaching. You got Mr. Fantastic over here. You know what I'm saying? All right. So I'm having trouble here navigating. All right, we're about to sign off here in a second. I didn't realize it was 2 hours and 30 minutes. Wow, we going in. But we still got like 47 people in the chat, which is crazy.
Really? Well, if they want to stay, yeah, I mean, we can keep going. They're staying.
Yeah. All right, so real quick, let's just say that you think reformed epistemology is garbage, and that Bantu is being irrational. He's got this irrational certainty, with respect to Jesus being Lord and Savior. Let's just say that. Now, here's why I say Shakka's reaching. Number one, an irrational belief, even if a person has a particular belief that's unjustified, it doesn't logically follow that the person is irrational. You can have an irrational belief, right? But that doesn't make you necessarily an irrational person. Like, real talk, like we all have beliefs that are not properly formulated. Like we all do. And whether you realize it or not. And then sometimes, somebody can come along, but that doesn't really make sense. And you're like, dang, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I guess I'm wrong about that. So just because you have an irrational belief doesn't mean that you are an irrational person, right? It's a logical leap to just single out one particular belief that you find objectionable, to then say, all right, well, now this person is disqualified. You see what I'm saying? So, for example, I think that it may have been a bit of a reach for Alfredo to say that Nas is the greatest lyricist of all time.
Hey, watch your mouth, buddy. Watch your mouth.
That doesn't mean that I think he's irrational. I just think that there's other things going on. You see what I did there, right? All right, real quick. I'm not gonna belabor the point, but so anyway, so that's one reason. Reach number two, would not change my mind does not imply could not change my mind. Now, Shakka is going to attempt to say that it does later on in the video, and we'll address that. But just the statement that Bantu made in and of itself doesn't warrant the claim that he is incapable of changing his mind, right? So that just fails right there. You know what I'm saying? Would not does not entail could not. I could say, if somebody gives me a bowl of spinach, and I'm like, I don't think I would eat that. You know what I'm saying? Would not, just because I wouldn't, I could do it, but I'm probably not going to do it. You see what I'm saying? So would not does not entail, in and of itself entail could not. You need more argumentation for that, and we'll show, which he attempts to give, Shakka attempts to give, and we'll show why that fails
right
in the next session. And lastly, conviction versus incapacity. Okay, just because you have a conviction about something doesn't mean that you have an incapacity, of objectivity, right? So it is exemplified by the fact that Bantu said that there's other things that he would change his mind about. He tells you there's things that I would change his mind about, and he talks about doctrinal stuff,
right?
The millennial, the whether you're amillennial, premillennial. I mean, he's talking about eschatology there. Right. I think he mentioned women preachers or something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? He said he would change his mind about some of those things. There's things that are on the table. Those are doctrinal issues, right? So he's saying that in regard to doctrinal issues, but in regard to the specific point there about Jesus being Lord and Savior, I'm saying he's saying that there's something you can't change my mind about that. You know what I'm saying? And he's talked about why, because he's got this long history there, right? So I think that those I think I might just camp out there. But lastly too, I mean, all throughout the debate, people can go watch it if you haven't. I would encourage you to. But all throughout the debate, Bantu is demonstrating, rational process in terms of how he's reaching his conclusion. He's showing you where evidence fits within his scheme.
In fact, Shakka says that as well about Bantu.
He does. So he actually demonstrates that he's able to change his mind and think objectively and reach conclusions in the right way. He actually demonstrates that in the debate, and you're right, as acknowledged by Shakka Ahmose. So again, Shakka is in Vince Bantu's expression of certainty and his expression of his conviction. Shakka makes the leap, the reach to say that somehow lends itself toward interpreting him as being incapable, of having an incapacity of objectivity. So I know we're getting long. I mean, I only had like one more slide. So I don't know if we want
to. No, go ahead, because MJ said we got to keep going. I didn't give that super chat for nothing on 3 hours. So we're obligated to MJ to continue. So,
all right. Well, okay. Since you asked for it, I'm going to try to be quick about this, though. So again, I kind of gave an account of a epistemological system that lends rational credence to Bantu's statement. But let's just say that, Bantu was just dead wrong for that, just for sake of argument. All right, now consider the propositions that were on the table for the debate. Christianity is not the white man's religion. These are the things that Bantu was taking a position on during the debate with those 3 questions. Christianity is not the white man's religion. Jesus is not a copy from Kemet. And Christianity has the answer for Black America. Those are the 3 propositions that Bantu was, forwarding or defending during the debate. Okay. Now, the truth value, whether or not these propositions are true or false, are independent of the personal psychology of Vince Bantu, right? As a matter of fact, truth value, when we're talking about propositions of this sort, now we can get into other kinds, but truth value is about, historical facts, whether or not, things that are external to oneself, things of that nature. These kind of propositions, the truth value of them are independent of your personal psychology. Right. So for example, if somebody says, let's say if you have a person who's a straight psychotic, right, and they just keep saying 2 + 2 is 4 over and over again, right? The equation 2 + 2 = 4 isn't invalidated just because somebody who's psychotic says, that person's psychological makeup doesn't have any bearing on whether the fact that 2 + 2 is 4. Likewise, real quick example, Donald Trump. Let's say if you had a cousin and he was in a coma for 30 years. He wakes up, he sees a commercial or a cartoon or old replay of The Simpsons from 2000. They actually had Donald Trump as president in 2000. On The Simpsons, right? And let's just say that your cousin saw that and concludes that Donald Trump is president. And let's say you walk in, now mind you, he just woke up from a coma. He sees that and then he believes that Donald Trump is president. Now you walk in and he says to you, "Hey, Donald Trump is president." And you're like, and you ask, "Well, man, how do you know that?" And your cousin says, "Well, I just saw it on this cartoon right here." Now, the cartoon is an unreliable source of information. Nevertheless, the proposition Donald Trump is president is still factual, right? So that proposition is independent of the source that your cousin got it from and his mental state. You see what I'm saying? So we had to be careful about that. Now, given that being the case, Vince Bantu's mental state or his perspective on Jesus being Lord, even if you want to say that particular thing was irrational, or if you want to say that he himself is irrational, if you want to go that route, you still now have to go backtrack and deal with the evidence and argumentation for the propositions that he put forward. You've got to disprove the propositions that he was defending, and you still got to deal with the evidence and argumentation that he forwarded to deal with them. And if you don't, then basically what you're doing is you're submitting yourself to these fallacies right here. I call this Shakka's fallacy frenzy right here. Now, in different parts of the video, I think he kind of tramples on or stumbles across different ones of these. But all across the board, you're going to find at least these 3 fallacies. The genetic fallacy, which is based on the truth or falsity of a claim of an argument on the origin that it comes from. So if you're going to disregard everything that Bantu said just because he's irrational and he said it, that's a genetic fallacy. Or ad hominem, attacking the person, make an argument rather than the argument itself. When the attack on the person is completely irrelevant to the argument the person is making. I'm saying whether or not Jesus is Lord, it has nothing to do with whether or not, the Christian community is, or Bantu's psychological states about Jesus being Lord or whatever has nothing to do with the truth or falsity of the propositions he put forth and the evidence or argumentation thereof that it used to support it. And then lastly, a red herring, attempting to redirect the argument to another issue that to which the person doing the redirecting can better respond. I think that really fits with Shakka is doing right here. You know what I'm saying? Because rather than responding to Bantu's argumentation, right, he's saying, look, well, that's not what the debate was about. It was about this other stuff over here. I'm redirecting your attention to this other thing that nobody believed but Shakka, I guess, that debate was about. Because why? Because I guess that's where he wants to kind of, pitch his stand and argue for. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to say at least one of those three fallacies. You pick one. I mean, at some point in the video, he's going to stumble across.
Oh, yeah. He does combos, too. He'll do like genetic ad hominems. red hominems. Genetic herrings. He mixes and matches.
Right, you know? right. So I apologize for being long with it, but I really just wanted to establish that, man. You know what I'm saying? So look at A2D2, man. Look at this. So hang tight, y'all. Adam is wrapping this up. We should be done in
he knows you very well, Adam. Nate knows you very well.
Yeah, man. But hey, man, this is what you get. You get the full barrel. I'm saying you get the full barrel when you come from a man.
Full clip.
Y'all gotta understand. He referred to Bantu, Chris Broussard, and Eric Mason as the Three Stooges. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Like when you do stuff like that, hey, this is what you get. We got that. Then we got to go line by line and break you down like that. And so ultimately, again, we have a red herring from Shakka Ahmose, and there is rational grounding. There is a rational foundation. I'm saying that's intellectually defensible, at least. You know I'm saying through reform epistemology for Bantu's statement. And even if you still think that doesn't hold and that he's irrational, you still committed one of these fallacies, and thus the very premise of your central argument here. I'm saying, and everywhere he's going to go from here, you started out fallaciously, and yeah.
And as you see thus far, we're showing you Shakka's inability when it comes to rhetoric. And if you think this is bad now, what we're going to get into right now, it's not good. It's really not good. It's going to really show you that basically, for one to make a point, you should know the models that you're using very well to reach that point. And what we're going to show you right now is that he doesn't have mastery of the very model that he wants to use to convey his point. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, if you could get to the next timestamp, sir.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. All right. But I'm sitting here.
Glad you guys are hanging in there.
Oh, I'm glad, man. I mean, we doing what we do, man. We doing what we do. So let me get to where people will be relieved that we're coming to the end of our
this is the home stretch, I think.
Yeah, that's all I have, man. I'm just vibing off you from the rest of the way, man. I emptied the full clip for now.
That was a very full clip. I mean, you really broke down. No, it's true, man. You hit him with that Draco. You know what I mean? That was the two drum clips. You know what I mean?
Right. So, well, I mean, like I said, you got to get that work, man. And I mean, it's nothing personal.
Never personal.
Yeah, nothing personal. I'm trying to get
but put on the gloves, though.
Put on the gloves.
That's where
we're at right now. Put on the gloves. I think I'm in the gloves. All right, here we go. Oh, you know what? I got to share it first. You got to share it first. People know what they sign up for when they see Adam Coleman and Alfredo. No, don't act like y'all don't know what y'all signing up for.
That's true. Yeah.
You blocked out the whole evening.
Pretty much.
Charge up your phone or device because you're gonna test that battery. We're gonna test that. We're gonna test that.
Yes, Jacob. It gets worse, Jacob. It actually does. Watch.
Oh no, it gets way worse.
But wait, it gets worse.
Oh, it gets way worse. I'm gonna play this clip. It gets way worse. I mean, between this and the next session, like this is all first verse. I'm not joking. Like, if you think this is bad, wait till Thursday. But all right, let me play this clip.
Faith. Truth over faith is a faction. In every faction.
Yeah. Put it back a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he posed a question predicated purely on truth. And by doing so, he exposed Bantu's values. And what are Bantu's values? Here they are right here. I have them highlighted in this square. Bantu's values can be defined as truth over faith. Now, when you hear that, people will be like, truth over faith. No, Shaka, you got it wrong. No. You always have to be careful of the obvious. When someone says truth over faith, it sounds as if they're putting truth first and faith second. It sounds as if they're making truth the priority or placing the premium on truth and then giving faith and belief a secondary status. That is not truth over faith. Truth over faith is a faction. In every faction, in every proper faction, the denominator is the foundational number. The numerator, the integers or the numbers on top, they are not the foundation part of the equation. It's the denominator, the divisor. So when truth over faith is placed in the context of a faction, faith becomes the common denominator, not truth. I'll say that again. In truth over faith, in that particular faction that you see here on the screen, faith is the common denominator. See, truth over faith. Faith is the common denominator, not truth. It's faith over truth. You see, that faction, that's the faction you want. That's the faction when you are in touch with reality. Because truth is the common denominator. Do you see it? Truth is the foundation. Truth is the common denominator. So everyone working with this faction over here, this is our common denominator, truth. Faith is a numerator. It's something that can come and go and be changed around intermittently. This is what truth over faith sounds like. There is no information on the face of this planet that would ever make me change my mind that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. No information. Not information from the past, not information that is present, not information from the future. I want to say that's deep. It is deep, but what it is, it's a deep sickness. I'm going to read to you my commentary about what I just showed you over here.
All right, we don't want to hear his commentary.
Show you.
No,
That's going to blow your mind.
We're good on that, fam. All right. Okay. So when I've heard him say, well, let me just show you what he said. All right. Truth over faith.
Right, I'll be right back.
All right, no problem. Truth over faith is a fraction. In every fraction, in every proper fraction, the denominator is the foundational number, the numerator, the integer, or the numbers on top. They are not the foundation part of the equation. It's the denominator, the divisor. So when truth over faith is placed in the context of fraction, faith becomes the common denominator, not truth. Now, full disclosure, math has never been my strongest suit. You know, when I was in high school, I was in all honors classes except for math. I hated math. I thought it was boring, trash. I just didn't like it. But even me, when I heard him say this, it was like, yeah, I don't think he knows what fractions are. And not to be disrespectful, and but you know what? I humbled myself. I talked to the bodega ladies. I hollered at Shotty Mills. I know she's good with math. I talked to Adam. It's like, just to make sure I'm right, because I'm honest. Math is not my thing. Right? So, but let's see. Let's look at this for a minute. Right? So this is the equation that he gives us, right? Truth, faith versus faith, truth, right? And he talks about numerators and denominators, the denominators, right? Now, we call the top number the numerator. It is the number of parts we have. We call the bottom number the denominator. It is the number of parts the whole is divided into. Like, for instance, if we have a pie and it's cut in 6 slices, Adam takes 2 because he's greedy, right? He has 2/6 of the pie, right? Where does he get this idea of foundational number? Where does he get that? That's not what a denominator is, right? And then he talks about common denominator, right? A common denominator is when the denominators of 2 or more fractions are the same. They are common denominators, as you see here, right? 2/5 plus 1/5. But both of them have the same denominator, the 5, right? He says faith becomes the common denominator. Adam, do you see a common denominator here?
Not at all. Not at all.
Because in order for there to be a common denominator, what would have to happen here?
Oh, well, there you need to have at least two fractions, right? You know, with faith being the denominator.
The same denominator, right? So it will have to be truth, faith, and maybe truth to faith, right?
Yeah.
So there is no common denominator. Now, I understand what he means. He's trying to be from a logic standpoint, but you started with a mathematical model. So you got to stay with that model to get to the point where you want to get to. And that's what he's failing at right here. Right? He says that the denominator is the divisor. It's never called that. It's called the fraction bar or the vinculum. Right? So I don't know what a divisor is. It's not, you know what I mean? That's just strange to me. Then he goes, well, actually, yeah, go to this timestamp. Or unless you want to say something before we get into it.
Nope, I can go there. You said, hey, bring it back. Was it 55?
It was 55:24.
Okay. All right. 55:24. Oh,
Sean is like, I'm still screaming.
Silliness. And when confronted with a question predicated purely on truth, Bantu, by virtue of his faith, crashed and burned. It was inevitable that Christianity's adverse relationship to truth would assert itself in the very person of Vince Bantu. Why? This right here, let's go back to the formulaic equation of truth over faith versus faith over truth. Let's look at the formulaic equation of faith over truth, or faith predicated upon truth. We can build on. The opposite, however, that is truth over faith or truth predicated upon faith, what that is that's open season on your mind. Understand what I'm saying? That's open season on your mind. So let me read my commentary about this, and you'll see exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, we're not going to do the commentary. We can stop that there.
Equation.
Okay.
All right. So what Shakka says here, right? He says, can you share it, bro?
Yep, gotcha.
Let's look at the formulaic equation of faith over truth, or faith predicated upon truth, right? Okay, well, remember, he's using a mathematical model. He's not using a different type of model, right? So we got to look at the definition here, right? Something that's formulaic, right? There's different definitions for this term, but the definition that he's using is mathematics a statement, especially an equation or a fact, rule, principle, or other logical relation. Right? Again, mathematics a statement, especially an equation of a fact, rule, principle, or other logical relation. Relation, the way in which two or more concepts, objects, or people are connected. A thing's effect on or relevance to another. And what kind of relation do equations have? Well, what is an equation? An equation says that two things are equal. It will have an equal sign like this. And you see an example here, x minus 2 equals 4. That equation says what is on the left, x minus 2, is equal to what is right, 4. So an equation is like a statement. This equals that. That's what an equation is. This equals that. Right?
You can get with that.
Right. What is a formula? A formula is a fact or rule that uses mathematical symbols, which is he's doing, right? But it will usually have an equal sign, two or more variables that stand in for values we don't know yet. It shows us how things are related to each other. Like, for example, the formula for finding the volume of a box is V equals LWH. V stands for volume, L for length, W for width, and H for height. When I equals 10, W equals 4, and H equals 5, then V equals 10 times 4 times 5 equals 200. This equals that, right? Okay. Remember, a formula equation is this equals that. But I want you to look at his equation. Is this equals that, or is it this versus that? What do we see here?
I'm not seeing the equal sign. I know that.
What do you see?
I see verses. I see your arrow there. That's a cool animation, by the way. I got to set my game up. But yeah.
So, by definition, is this an equation?
No, by definition, absolutely not.
It's the antithesis of the equation. It's two things poised against each other. They don't equate. It's not this equals that. It's this against that. This is not an equation.
Not an equation, fam.
It's just not.
Not.
So, actually, let me stop here for a minute.
Okay.
So, again, right? Rhetoric, right? The art of persuasion, right? This is what he's trying to accomplish in his video. He's trying to persuade us to believe lies that apologists tell, you know. But in order for you to be convincing, the models that you use, you have to be kind of well versed in that model. It's quite clear he's not well versed in fractions or equations.
Right.
No disrespect.
Right.
He doesn't know what an equation is. So if you don't know the model that you're using, how can you reach your conclusion if you don't know the model you're using to be the vehicle in which you arrive to your conclusion? You just can't do that. But not only is that a horrible thing, his understanding of one of his fractions is also off, and that is faith. So before we get into that, do you want to add anything, bro?
No, man. I think you knocked it out, bro. I mean, actually that was the piece I was going to get to. He didn't have that equal sign or that equation piece in there. I think you knocked it out, man. So we can go ahead with the next
all right. If you could share my screen. So yeah, so we're going to talk about faith. He has a misunderstanding of faith, and many of us in the chat, we go out of our way to really explain to people what we mean when we say faith, right? And it's the Greek word.
I apologize. All right, there is one thing I wanted to say.
Sure, go for it.
When it comes to, and this is something I'm getting into myself. When it comes to breaking down argumentations, like when you're dealing with logic, there are times, and by logic, I don't mean like just something that makes sense or doesn't make sense. I mean like in the more formal sense of the term logic. When you're talking about argumentation and how propositions interact with one another, if you will, I'll just put it that way. When you're dealing with logic, you can actually use mathematical representations.
Sure.
Okay. Of somebody's argument, and you can look in terms of the form of it to see whether that argument stacks up or not. Or you can say in history, or well, not just history, but sometimes they'll use what's called Bayes' theorem when you're evaluating probabilities, and you might use Bayes' theorem to evaluate a historical claim and the evidence for it or against it.
The laws of logic are used a lot of times presented as formulas.
Exactly. So that's the thing. So that's a real thing. The issue is if you're going to do it, and this goes to your point, if you're going to do it right. Don't just make up, a pseudo equation, what I'm saying? And then, a pseudo formulaic equation or whatever you want to call it. What I'm saying? Like, I mean, if you're going to do it right, bro. That's all I'm saying. Be savvy, or basically the wording that you use. I'm saying you want to know your stuff. I'm saying before you start implementing things. And to be fair, this is something that I want to caution all apologists about. Like I myself, I study apologetics quite a bit, but there's lots of stuff that I don't talk about. I mean, if I'm not knowledgeable on something, then I don't talk about it, right? Or if I don't really know what I'm talking about, there's all kind of things that I think are probably correct, but I don't know it well enough to defend it, and so I don't talk about it, right? So don't feel like you have to outpoint somebody or outsmart somebody all the time. Make sure that we're not overextending ourselves. That's a better way to put it. Make sure you're not overextending yourself, in terms of your argumentation. Make sure that you kind of are you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're like Shakka Ahmose here, who's making claims that it's clear he doesn't know what he's talking about. You don't want to do that,
Right. Absolutely.
There you go.
And one of the things that he's not aware of is faith from a biblical perspective. And of course, we all know that in the Koine Greek, it's pistis, right? It's persuade, to be persuaded, persuasion, to come to trust, right? That's what the word means in the Bible. Again, to persuade, to prevail on a person, to do something as by advising or urging, to induce to believe by appealing to reason or understanding, to convince. Funny enough, this is what Shakka is actually trying to do in his video. He wants us to come to faith. He actually wants us to come to faith in that Christian apologetics lie, right? But he's failing because he doesn't understand the models that he's trying to use. But anyway, right? Now, is this the right? Yes. All right. So pistis and rhetoric are the elements to induce true judgment, hence to give proof of a statement. There are three modes by which this is employed. The first mode is the subject matter capable of inducing a state of mind within the audience. The second pistis is the subject itself considered under an appeal to the intellect or in its logical aspects. The third pistis is the logical, rational, and intellectual aspect of the issue under discussion. All three modes of pistis occurs in logos as it appears to logical persuasion, right? And I think is that the same thing? No. So in the Review of Metaphysics, a Philosophical Quarterly, you have this article, The Passions of the Wise, right? Phrenesis, Rhetoric, and Aristotle's Passionate Practical Deliberation, right? And he says, pistis and rhetoric are the elements to induce true judgment through entomemes, hence to give proof of a statement. An entomeme is a rhetorical syllogism used in oratorical practice, originally theorized by Aristotle. There are 4 types of enthymeme, at least 2 of which are described in Aristotle's work. And a note on pistis in Aristotle's rhetoric, and this is from Johns Hopkins University Press by William M.A. Grimaldi. Actually, I just said this before. I misplaced my slide, but I'm going to say it again. So at least you know what the source is. This is from Johns Hopkins University Press, a note on pistis in Aristotle's rhetoric from William M.A. Grimaldi, the American Journal of Philology. Is that right? Philology? I think that's it.
Philology.
Right. Modes by which this is employed. The first mode is the subject matter capable of inducing a state of mind within the audience. The second pistis is the subject itself, considered under an appeal to the intellect or in its logical aspects. The third pistis is the logical, rational, and intellectual aspect of the issue under discussion. And in the Rhetoric of Doing, essays on written discourse in the honor of James L. Canavy, Christian concepts of faith, pistis, were borrowed from Greek rhetorical notions of pistis. So this idea of persuading using logic and reason, this is how Christians conveyed the gospel. They used reason so they could persuade the audience into having faith, to being convinced, having a conviction based on a logical and reasonable explanation of what is real. Now, some of you might say, well, isn't faith being sure in what you don't see? Absolutely.
Before you go there, can I just say something real quick? Because I know my audience. So once they see, all they're going to see is that word borrowed from Greek.
Right. They're going to think it's plagiarism. Right. That's
all they're going to see. So let's be clear that what we're talking about is something that occurs in all cultures. Let me be specific about that. You know what I'm saying? When Christianity comes along, you're talking about 1st century Rome. You know what I'm saying? And it comes onto the scene amidst this pluralistic world. There's all different kinds of worldviews, right? And Greek philosophy and thought was very pervasive throughout Rome and the Roman world, really. You know what I'm saying? So in order to, if you're a worldview in the public square, if you will, you know what I'm saying, you're sparring against these other kind of worldviews. One of the ways that you're going to make a compelling argument is by appropriating literary tools and logical tools to make your case, impactful for your audience. And that's what they're talking about there. So right. It's not a matter of like, some people say, oh, see that, they borrowed from
right.
Dionysus or something like that, just from that word borrow, because we want to be principled in our thinking, you know what I'm saying, and refer to that source that he put up on the screen for more specific.
No, absolutely.
I know my audience, so I just want to make sure.
No, that's great. That's a good catch. So now, of course, the Bible says, being faith is hoping for what you don't see. But again, who's the audience that he's talking to? People who already have faith, right? So yes, there is an unknown factor in faith, but you walk out on faith based on what you already do know. A classic example is David and Goliath, right? When Saul asked David, what makes you think you can defeat this dude? You're a farm boy. He's been a trained warrior since his youth. What does David say? Well, tending the sheep, there's this bear came, I duffed out the bear, right? This other time, this lion came, I duffed out the lion. I'm 2-0 with beasts that have no business fighting.
All right.
I'm looking really good out here. So I like my chances against Goliath. Now, mind you, the lion and the bear are not trained athletes with chainmail and a shield and a weaver's rod for a javelin, and right? So he's never fought anyone like Goliath before. But based on what he already does know, it gives him the confidence to go into something that's unknown. But it's based on what he does know already.
That's right. That's right.
All right. That's
and that's that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That's biblical.
No, yeah, no, yeah.
But that's that procedural knowledge, right?
Right.
And there's ways that you can come to, or there's different things that can influence, faith, if you will, right? In this case, he's talking about this procedural knowledge. He's had these experiences, that know-how. I'm saying he went up against the bear, he went up against lion. It's the same faculty of having faith in God. I'm saying of having this confidence in God that brought him through those circumstances. And so now he knows how to deal with Goliath. I'm saying that's that procedural knowledge again.
Absolutely.
So there's an epistemology to faith, if you will. It's not it's not believing like blind faith. I'm saying that's not what it is. All right.
And if you can share my screen for this, will be my last slide. And we're going to end it the way I started. Rhetoric is the art of making good arguments. More broadly, it refers to effective communication in both speaking and writing. Rhetoric is mainly about persuasion, but it also covers techniques for making your work more beautiful. As we see, Shakka failed at rhetoric in his video. And this is what we're trying to show. This by no means shows that Christianity is true. That is not what this video is about. Now, of course, if you ask me and Adam if it's true, absolutely. And we'll give you a litany of reasons why we believe that to be true. But that's not what this is about, right? Because just because someone makes bad arguments doesn't mean that the argument might be bad, but what they're trying to reach to might be true, right? Christianity might not be true. It's just Shakka failed at persuading anyone of that being the case, which is the same thing, right? We believe the gospel is true, but someone could do a really poor articulation of the gospel. Doesn't mean the gospel isn't true. It just means the person who articulated is not persuasive.
Yeah, and by Christianity, it might not be true because cats are going to get you on that too. See, he said Christianity. No, man, it's saying like it's whether or not Christianity is true is independent of Shakka Ahmose's rhetorical ability and what he achieved and what he was saying. I know how y'all.
No, that's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So again, right? So he wasn't effective in his communication, and the reason why he wasn't effective because he wasn't well versed in the models that he was using for his communication. It was malformed. It was fallacious, and honestly, there was points where he was just didn't know what he was saying. He doesn't know what fractions are. He didn't know what a common denominator was, right? So he's using terms that incorrectly. So if you're starting incorrectly, you're not going to end correctly. There's no way.
Got it from the wrong foot.
You started bad and you ended bad. So hopefully if he does see this, when he does come back in the series, he'll have a more robust rhetorical connection with the models that he uses in the future. So
yeah. I mean, so speaking of which, you want to talk about Thursday? We're gonna be on your channel.
Yes, we will be in BK Apologists will be on my channel, me and Mr. Coleman, and we're gonna talk about this other point that he makes in this video about just the mental health state of those who subscribe to Christianity, and how that is also fallacious as well.
Oh man, so here's the thing, man. I've said it a couple times. So, watching this video, the original Shakka video is about 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? About 2 hours. And a lot of it was kind of fluff, at the beginning. But once he kind of, finally got into argumentation, I kind of felt like, all right, cool. So let me see what he's like coming with. And when he got to his actual argument, I was like, you know what? I thought there was going to be a whole lot of foolishness in this video, and this man came through. It's exactly what I thought he would. I mean, like, his argumentation was as bad as I thought it would be. You know what I mean? It's like, I think they got Denny Green, who was the coach of, I think it was the Cardinals or something like that. And he was like, they're exactly who we thought they were. It was kind of, like that, you know what I mean? And it's not even an issue of, I don't hate Shakka or anything like that.
Not at all.
It's unpersonal. Yeah, I sit down and have a meal with him. Yeah, if I
absolutely. Listen, he's from the same projects as me.
Okay, hey,
he's from go on his projects, GP Rock, Brooklyn. So off rep, I got love for Shakka just on that alone. Right, absolutely.
But I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, we have to contend for the hearts and minds of our people, man. You know what I'm saying? It's that simple. You know what I'm saying? And if our community is gonna, in any way, thrive, I'm saying, in this life or the next, we've got to be as clear thinking as possible. And so, we can't have, folks putting erroneous ideas out there. And then on top of that, man, I mean, just kind of get out of here, like, I don't know what it's gonna look like on Thursday. I mean, it took us 3 hours to get to this point, and I'm not lying when I say like the stuff that's coming next is worse. Like it does get worse. Like we keep saying it. But it does. I mean, like, the critiques that I have for Thursday is not looking good for your boy. I'm just saying it don't look good for him. You know what I mean? We're supposed to be the brainless Christians. That's what he said. He said we lacking touch. Well, he didn't say our names, but we know he was talking about us, me and you. I'm just saying. Hey, put it this way. I should do it right now. If you Google the what's it called, the Bantu Jabari. I'm not even going to. I'll just for the sake of time. But if you go do a search on YouTube and look up the Bantu Jabari debate, you're going to see our videos come up. He said that he looked at all of the critiques of the debate. Some were done by Christians who were in attendance, and according to him, had a dog in the fight. And I think he said most of it was brainless or unintelligent or something like that.
Exactly.
And the only videos I saw doing critiques who were Christians who were there was you and I. So my inference would be that, he was probably
about us.
You know what I'm saying? So we're supposed to be the brainless Christians. You know what I'm saying? And we just did 3 hours, correcting this dude. And we got at least another two and some change more. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this is not, I don't know why these cats keep playing, bro. Like, this is not back in the day, bro. You know what I'm saying? But
put the gloves on. Put the gloves on.
It's cool. We got you. We
get
here
in the ring.
We're here for that. That's what we're here for. And if it's not me and BK doing it, look, I can stop doing apologetics tomorrow, bro. And you still have a whole roster of other apologists who are just as capable.
The lineup is deep.
Y'all might
lineup is deep.
Y'all might just cause, hey, don't think just because I got a channel and BK got a channel, this is all we got. Don't think that. You still got to deal with my man Carlton, who's about to get his joint going. You know what I'm saying? You still got to deal with, Professor X himself, you know what I'm saying, Chris Samuel. You know what I'm saying? You still gotta deal with Matt Jackson. You still gotta, I mean, come on, man. Like, look, like, don't sleep on the urban apologetics community. Like, this is not a game out here, yo.
It's murderous row. It's murderous row out here. Everybody can hit out the park.
That's a lot of cats you might not even heard of, that gets it in. That gets it in. So I'm just saying, it's not about me. It's not about BK. This is about the kingdom at the end of the day. That's what this is about, man. So, hey, man, we love everybody who came through. We appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the super chats. Definitely be in the building on BK Apologist channel this Thursday. What time are we going on Thursday?
You know what? I'll check right now. Hold on.
Make sure y'all get there. Yeah, matter of fact, you can just go over to this channel right after this and make sure you hit that like button or notification or whatever so you can.
It'll be at 9.
Okay, so 9 o'clock this
9
Thursday.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Good. Yeah, so we're gonna be over there, BK Apologists. Y'all definitely check us out there. We got more to come, man. You know what I'm saying? My intention was to make it very clear, you know what I'm saying, that the biblical worldview has a lot to say, and when you test it, if you keep punching the lion in the ribs,
fangs come out. That's
what happens. So that's what it is, man. But thank you, Phil Fox, for coming through. Yo, we also subscribe to Phil Fox channel. Phil Fox is getting some dope interviews, man. You know, I
Yeah,
think you
yeah.
know Phil Fox interview, right?
Yeah, I've definitely been on the channel. Absolutely. I've
Yeah,
definitely been on the channel.
definitely, man, definitely. So, you know, shout out to my mods as well, Nate2D2, D New, the whole Patreon family. Love y'all. Y'all know what it is. Love God, love people. Take care of the things that God blesses you with. Peace.
Peace.